How did we lose him now?
It's always when we actually start podcasting.
Brandon
Well,
did
we
it
have
very
an hour
carefully.
worth of content, so we have an episode.
You know, we did talk about
It
me.
will be creative editing, but, you know.
Okay.
I don't think we've
Brandon.
ever had this many problems starting. So.
No, the first episode we did. I had to start like 9 times.
And episode 4 when I had to threaten to not pay anyone.
That one was pretty bad too. Hello and welcome to the Learned Wargame audio podcast. This is episode 9. I am Brandon, or PG Mutalist on the forums, and I play Khador.
I'm Max, and I lurk on the forums, and I try to play Crick some other things sometimes. And who the fuck gets paid for this?
Nobody gets paid. It's a farce.
I throw in a nickel every once in a while.
That's true.
I'm Jeremey, go by Lord Fool on the forums, and I play Menoth?
You have to play Menoth.
Well, you know.
All right, and joining us via Skype today, we have the faction ADD extraordinaire, Mr. Jake Shealy.
Hello, podcast land, or whatever form of media that you are choosing to partake.
So, Jake, why don't you tell us something about yourself or how long you've been playing and make us seem more credible, I guess.
Sure. Well, I'm the best player in the world. I've been playing for about 2-ish years of Warmachine with other games prior to that I won't name. Let's see here. From
Probably
Kansas,
the most humble
same
guest
as all
we've
of
ever
y'all,
had.
you fine people. I started with Signar, then I jumped to Menoth, then I jumped to every other faction in the game, then I jumped back to Signar, like full-time for a while, and then I jumped back to Menoth.
So would you say you're kind of a big deal?
I don't know if I would say that, but it's true, so...
I don't know if you guys heard while Jake was rambling through that, but I think he did 1,000 curls. Sculpting his guns for the gun show.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And I'm currently not really getting to play much because I am stuck in beautiful Biloxi, Mississippi doing some technical training with the Air Force, but I'll be back.
You had to end it with that line, didn't you?
Sounds like a threat.
All right.
I'll be back with Convergence.
To business. So our topic for today is kind of a combination. Jake has been, like he said, back into Menoth recently. I am starting Menoth in theory once it gets painted, and I own all the models I need. And I wanted to make a Kreoss1 list because I think he's very good. He's obviously a good toolbox caster. The goal is a well-rounded Kreoss1 list that can both assassinate and or play just for really hard for attrition. I'll go ahead and go first and share my Kreoss1 list. I made this before I even bought any of the models, and I feel like it needs to be updated now I have more knowledge about the faction. Starting off, it's High Exemplar Kreoss, 2 Reckoners and 1 Redeemer, 2 Vassals of Menoth, 1 Vassal Mechanic, the Exemplar Errant Seneschal, Piper of Ord, Choir Minimum, Zealots Max with the Monolith Bear, Maximum Exemplar Errants with the UA, and Visgoth Rovan and Co. Originally, when I made this, it was focused a little bit more on assassination and slightly for attrition play, but, Errants and, Zealots just tend to do pretty well for attrition. So, Max, what did you come up with?
I have High Exemplar Kreoss. It's a good choice since that's the one we're going with.
Yeah.
Reckoner, because I like that jack a lot.
Reckoner fanboy train.
Yes. Reckon it.
That pun
Rupert-
had to drop at some point.
Yeah.
Rupert Corvolo, Piper of Ord, Initiate Tristan Durant in his immolation spell. Twice a turn.
He's really just
Twice
there.
a turn, guys.
He's just
Twice
there
a
as
turn.
a super solo to immolate the whole world.
Yes. Fire, lighting all the warcasters on fire.
Nice.
He's operating a Redeemer. I have 2 Vassals of Menoth, because they shoot things again.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Iris, Mage Hunter of Ios. That's number 1, because your second list might have number 2, because it may not have Purification. Don't
Right.
know. I got at 1 point a Rex. Holy Zealots full with Monolith Bear. Big surprise. Full Exemplar Errants with the UA. Big surprise. And Minimum Choir.
Okay.
Also a big surprise.
Big surprise.
I'm surprised.
Jeremy, what did you surprise us with today?
Well,
How many shredders?
God damn. God, stop fucking taking shredders.
Did you know that Legion has shredders?
Thanks. Did you listen to any of the previous episodes where Jeremy shared his amazing Legion list of all shredders?
They were awesome.
I just remember, was it the Lilith 2 episode where he's like, did you know that Legion has shredders?
God damn it.
All right. I decided to go Theme Force. High Exemplar Kreoss,
Okay.
a Crusader.
2 units Avengers.
Bad.
2 units Avengers.
Damn it. How'd you know?
Spoiler alert.
Let him speak.
2 units Avengers.
Yeah!
1 Exemplar Seneschal. 1 Exemplar Errant Seneschal. High Exemplar Kreoss. A full unit of Errants with UA. Full unit of Bastions. And because I had a point, a Vassal Mechanic.
And how many models do you have that are not exemplars?
2.
And those are the mechanic?
And the Crusader.
You should just throw those away. Take the
should,
exemplar, Jack.
What?
Exemplar.
Fire Salvation.
You could take Fire Salvation.
No.
No.
I agreed. All right. So you obviously went for more of a oddball type list. What would you say your list focuses on the most?
It does go in and hit hard, but it will also survive for a while.
Yeah, so it's a little kind of a brick list, but not necessarily. It's just kind of a angry people list. Like, it's people that want to go forward and get jammed into melee.
Right.
So
I love exemplars, so
Yeah.
that's
And
what I bought.
they're immune to everything while the dragoon's alive.
do you not own the field allowance of exemplars? Is that correct?
Well, how many casters are we talking about?
The field allowance of all exemplars in the book, not counting casters.
That is correct.
Okay. Just check. Jake, what did you bring us today?
Well, I did some deep theory crafting. It's really, really deep theory crafting. At first, I came up with this really sweet list that was, entirely built for the feat. That was like some deliverers and some Idrians and some steelhead riflemen. But then I was all like, no. Let's do something that's not quite so overpowered.
Yeah, let's
So-
rein it in a little bit.
Yeah, I went with something that not many people probably play, but it's something that I like, and I have a very specific reason for it. Mm-hmm. So the list is Kreoss1 with just a Reckoner in his battle group. I shied away from the double Reckoners because I feel like Kreoss has some focus problems if you give him more than one Jack. Really, every time I go to build a P Kreoss list, I just rage at the fact that Menoth can't take Cloud Dwarves. Mm-hmm. So being able to camp as much focus as possible is, in my opinion, the best strategy. So just one Reckoner in Kreoss's battle group, then Tristan Durant, and he's rocking a Redeemer and a Devout because that Shield Guard, both for Tristan and Kreoss, throw Fortify up on that Devout. It can tank his own and it can keep Kreoss safe. Then I've got Max Errants with their UA, not surprising. I've got the Exemplar Errant Seneschal in there just because Hunter has saved my butt more times than I can count. And it's kind of those extra activations, solos to run into zones, all that good stuff. Max Forge Guard with an Attendant Priest. The Forge Guard is in there for one very specific reason, and that's every time I try to make a list with Kreoss1, I find myself that I don't have enough low-value armor cracking.
Yeah,
that
you
when I
don't
think
have
about
the
like,
late game
medium-based
punch.
multi-wounders. Yeah, but it's just, I don't feel like I have those, that quantity of quality attacks, which Forge Guard really, really bring, and they can attrition really, really well late game when you have the Attendant Priest on them, between Defender's Ward swapping to them after the Errants have started dying out, having Rupert tough them with the book no knockdowning. Just late game, great attrition piece, but also that quantity of quality attacks. And then as I hinted at, the Covenant and Rupert are in there. They're kind of the staple for that errant boat with Defender's Ward. There's really no reason not to take it in one of your Menoth lists. One Vassal of Menoth so that either the Reckoner or the Redeemer can get some ancillary attacks. The Reckoner could get Enliven, and I think there are some legit cases where you want to throw a Devout with Fortify and Enliven into a zone to just give your opponent lots of headaches. A minimum choir for the 3 Jacks, a pot of 3 racks because focus, and Terran de la Revisi at the very end because Colossals can't be knocked down.
Right, that was the one model. That and Eris1 were the ones I really wanted to try and shoehorn in. I just didn't. I just stuck with my list I had left over from when I first wanted to get into the faction.
Yeah, Eris is... And we were talking about this in the little pre-ramble before, and this is a little spoiler for getting into some of the matchups, but there are some matchups that if you don't have Eris, you just can't play Kreoss1 in the matchup.
Yeah, there's some brick casters just you can't threaten with the feat. I definitely want to change this list. It needs something else to change.
Can I make an opening suggestion?
Epic Kreoss?
Yes. To Jake, not to Max.
Only one Reckoner. That would be my opening suggestion.
Yeah, well, some people have bad suggestions. I don't want to tell you.
Okay.
I was just kidding.
He's just so fragile. I mean, in a typical turn, if you allocate 2 of the Reckoner, cast Purification
Jake.
So if you have multiple Reckoners, then even with Rax and a Hierophant, you're powering them all, but you're still not camping anything.
Hey, Jake. We lost
Yeah.
you there for like 3 seconds. Do you want to just repeat what you said?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I was just saying that with a typical Kreoss activation, you're probably like casting Purification, recasting Defender's Ward, and allocating 2 to one of your jacks, which doesn't give them to camp any.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take 2 Reckoners, then pulling from Rax and getting a Hierophant discount, still you can allocate to 2 Reckoners, but you still don't get to camp any. Only having the 1 jack means that there are times when you can camp, which is a good thing when you only have 15 armor.
I mean, it's not a bad idea to keep him safe and play more defensive with him. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I guess I was worried that it would take some of the assassination threat off the board, only having the 1 real ranged piece for assassination. I mean, if you have the Redeemer on Tristan, right?
Yeah,
So that gives us a
which
second
is
piece.
only
that
one
helps
less.
a lot.
It's only 1 less power. When you
Right.
factor in the feat and the Reckoner shot, you're gonna hit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only 1 less power, but you're getting 2 extra shots out of it.
Oh, yeah, I like the Redeemer for sure. I might be interested in dropping the second one, but part of the reason I liked it because it does give you that late game punch for being a heavy still.
Yeah.
You know, battled Reckoners do work, so.
Oh yeah. PAL 15, Mat 8.
15? You mean 19?
Yeah. What? No, I'm talking about. Oh, you're talking about Reckoners. I'm talking about Redeemers. Battled
Right, there you
Redeemers late game.
I meant Reckoner.
Oh.
And you
Well,
have a Devout
I
on
don't know.
Tristan?
Yeah, I have a Devout on Tristan. 2 reasons for that. First off, the shield guard for Kreoss. I'm paranoid about getting Kreoss killed. He's just so squishy. That's how I lose games with Kreoss1. I don't lose games with Kreoss1 to attrition. I lose games with Kreoss1 to assassination. Like I said, also, the Devout with Fortify on it gives you a really legitimate scenario piece.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of hard to get rid of. All right, starting off, new list. Let's get the war room moving here. All right, Kreoss1. Let's get the staples in there. I do think taking Tristan with him is a great way to keep him a little bit safer because he doesn't have to allocate as many focus points. So I'm throwing Tristan in. So I guess one of the...
Do we want to get ballsy and throw Gaston with the Galleon in there?
Yeah, let's just do that now. We can go and put 2 galleons on him.
No, 2 Vanguards might be
It's a
awesome.
staple after all.
2 Vanguards wouldn't be awful. That would get some of your paranoia out of the way, but I don't know what they'd do other than
Yeah.
just shield guard. I feel like I'd almost want to just take a Bokur because Kreoss only really needs to be
Protectorate.
in the threatening area. Oh, they can't take a Bokur? Sorry. I don't play Protectorate.
But I want to.
I want to. Shut up.
Yeah, Bokur and Cloud Dwarfs. Those would be your alternatives.
Max wanted Nis. He's like, Nis need to happen. All right, so we're obviously taking a choir, so I put in a mid choir for now. One of the fundamental questions I feel that we need to figure out right now is if we're taking 2 full units or 1 full unit. Do you think we should squeeze
2
in the
units of
Zealot?
what?
Well, basically, I have
Oh.
originally
I don't
the
think
Zealots
zealots are required. I think errants are absolutely required.
The errant boat with UA should absolutely go in there, as should Rupert and the book. Just no questions asked. It depends on how you're building your 2-list pairing. Generally, for myself, it's either going to be P-Sevi or P-Kreoss that's going to have that module.
So let's go. I'm going to throw in some Merc solos real quick, because the 2 things I was really sad weren't in my list were Eris and Terran. I don't know if Terran's necessary, because against a Colossal, you might just say, I'm going to take my other list. And just.
What about Gorman?
I was thinking Gorman would be a good add, too.
If you're so scared of losing him,
Right.
clouds are helpful.
We could do Gorman as a poor man's substitute for a Devout, just to give you that one angle of protection. The real reason I like the Devout, mainly in this particular list, is for both Tristan and Kreoss's protection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it certainly helps. Although Tristan can be potentially
It would-
so far away.
Yeah, 8 inches behind the Redeemer, which is 16 inches from their caster.
One thing I originally had planned when I was looking at Tristan coming out, I was planning on running a single Redeemer and a Vigilant on him as a scenario piece. Because the Vigilant goes to arm 23 for 4 points. And for 4 points, you really don't care if he dies. And it's usually not worth 4 points to kill him. And with Fortify,
Yeah.
he can't be like slammed out of his zone. So it's actually pretty hard to get him out.
I got 20
Defender's
points.
Worded Reckoner is also hard to get out of the zone.
It is, but I mean, I don't want to put a Reckoner at risk till later, I would think. I mean, you put him in there to prevent early points, not to prevent late points. And I feel like once...
We have errants for that.
I don't know. I don't trust errants to hold zones for me.
The
That's
only
probably
time
because...
that's a legit fear is if you're playing against a hag.
Nah, they're more of a marine type unit.
What about Butcher
Storm in.
3 and Silence of Death?
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of healing hate right now with like Morvana out there and everything. Like, there's a lot of people that want to prevent healing at all costs. All right, so going on to Kreoss' battle group, we're definitely taking one Reckoner for the late game punch plus mid game attrition. Tristan's definitely getting a Redeemer.
Okay. You can go ahead and add
We should probably throw
Rupert,
one
the Covenant, Errants.
and one Vassal.
Yeah, I have one Vassal too.
Is there a reason you wouldn't want to?
I don't think you necessarily need to unless you just have 2 points left later.
I would 100% agree with that. 1 is definite, 2 is a luxury. You don't want to bloat it too much on support. That's one thing that's
Yeah.
a classic Minoth problem, but a particular Kreoss1 problem.
I feel like the Covenant and then Piper are also 2 pieces of support that we're going to be adding here in a second. You can play them without. I just don't know. I
absolutely.
think with a squishy caster like Kreoss, the book is so helpful for him in addition to being what it is for the Errants because it makes it harder to kill him. So I don't feel that bad putting the book in.
You're going to take the book and Piper together in one of your lists. So if this is going to be that list, then absolutely. You've got some options with what to pair it with.
I was actually planning on pairing it with Fiora too because they play pretty different
Yes.
play styles, but at the same time they're both pretty mean.
Any Ignite caster really is probably a good way to go for pairing it. You could pair
So
it with
Kreoss
Kreoss 3.
I haven't actually bought the stuff for Kreoss 3. I haven't gotten it together yet.
That's a discussion we'll have later, though.
Okay, I threw in the Errant boat. So I have Max Errants with UA, Errant Seneschal, Piper, and Book.
How do we feel about the Errant Seneschal? There are days when Hunter just saves my ass. There
I
are
think
days when I feel he's not necessary.
I think he's worth 2 points. I don't see how he's not, just as a combat solo.
And then Call to Sacrifice is also pretty
Call
cool.
to Sacrifice is a huge scenario play because you can put one guy in a really awkward spot and just sack the whole unit to him if you need him to fucking stay alive. Like, I'm going to put him, like, toe behind a wall in a zone and just be like, how many guys can you get on this one dude? And even then, he's going to sack, like, 4 times. It's actually really hard to kill one model that occupies the same space after 4 attacks.
I have hilariously found that the biggest downside of the Seneschal is that he is that one piece that Lich 2 can excarnate in the middle of your errants.
And if you expect it to happen, like you're thinking ahead, I think you can put him in a spot that's not that bad. But yeah, you need to be smart with your placement on him for sure, because he could be behind all the errants. I mean, that's a long way to be excarnating. At that point, you might even be in book range though.
Yeah, they get the hag in there and stuff. But yeah, I can see it. We'll keep him in. It just
he's
smart players
potentially a
need to be
cuttable
aware.
piece. All right, so I'm looking at 42 points right now.
And I'm 46.
But what do you have that I don't, you think?
Gorman.
And another solo?
Do you have Terran?
I do have another solo
Max
in there,
Luke.
but it doesn't need to be in there. I have Master Gunner in there. Range 14 Eris, range 12 Terran. Come on.
How are you getting range 14 errands?
Eris.
Eris, gotcha. Okay, sorry, I thought you said errands.
That's as awesome as it is unnecessary.
Yes, exactly.
You can also artillerist Gorman, so
Yeah.
it's totally
range
legit.
8. That's literally 4 models he would affect, including himself.
Nice.
Pretty good.
It's almost good as the Ocean's list. I guess that
They
list
can
is like
pretty
20.
much do the same thing.
You said we're at 42 right now without
Yeah,
Gorman?
so 13 points left.
Do we want a second unit? And if so, what unit? Or do we want a second Reckoner?
I think if it's a unit, it should be Zealots because they extend your scenario play, and he makes Zealots really good. Obviously, 1 for the accuracy buff, and 2 getting them out of melee so they can throw bombs. Because usually you can walk up, throw bombs, go immune, and then you get engaged by 100 dudes, and then you're like, I feet, knock you all down, back up and throw bombs, and then you can't do anything to them again.
I don't disagree with anything you just said.
But you think the
I just
second Reckoner
always-
is just too strong, right?
No.
I
he
wouldn't
doesn't.
do the second Reckoner, and I'm not sure I'd do the Zealots either. Just at the end of the day, every Kreoss1 list comes back to that one problem for me is the low value armor cracking. And so we have to ask ourselves, are we going to try and solve that problem in Kreoss's list, or are we going to rely on a backup list for that?
Mm-hmm.
I think in Brandon's case, he might be looking at relying on Fiora 2's all jacks to crush armor versus Kreoss. Excuse me.
Which specifically armor are you kind of thinking about? Like kind of a Meat Mountain style armor, or like a Colossal with a buff on it, or...
Oh no, it's multi-model. It's that you need. It's a number of attacks of high hitting power for those multi-wound models, for those say, for instance, Iron Zealed, Iron
Black
Fangs,
Dragons.
Black Dragons. Yeah. So, it's those types of things where you need a fairly large number of high-powered attacks. And then, those types of lists aren't common, but they do exist.
What about Flamebringers?
You need it for...
Do they have anatomical precision?
No.
Sounds awful.
They have Grievous Wounds. Critical.
Critical grievous wounds.
Are they power 9 or power 11 Weapon
9.
Master?
9.
Power 9 Weapon Master.
9. That does, on average, 0 damage to a warder.
No, it does 14. They're weapon master. If they get a charge, their charge attack will do
But
like
that's only the
5, and then the rest attacks will do like 2.
None.
0.
Yeah, bad. The problem is you can't fit enough guys on a small number of dudes because they're large bases too. I don't know. They can really.
So how do we solve that? How do we solve that problem? Is I guess what I want to create the discussion on. Do we try and solve that in this list, or do we solve that with the second list?
Well, I think the second list straight up destroys. If we're talking about my Fjord 2 list, I was planning on pairing it with. I would expect it to deal very easily with shield wall units. Not so much on the medium-based brick units like warders and such. It could probably do okay against most of them, but I think it would probably have trouble versus the Meat Mountain particularly. But I don't know that there's a list in Meanoff that deals well with it. I did play against a list at Adepticon last year. It was Harbinger with 2 units of Hammer Dwarves with Attendant Priests and then 2 Battle Engines, and then she just had a Devout. She was just martyring for days on the Hammer Dwarves, and it was actually really annoying. And with Crusader's Call, they go a long way.
That's extremely awesome.
It was surprisingly scary. At first, he set up his dude, was like, okay, this shouldn't be too bad. I mean, I know how to fight against Hammer Dwarves, and then it's just like, these guys don't die. And then it's like, well, all of a sudden, when those guys just stop dying, it's like, well, now he has this full hitting power still, and they come in and they trade really hard, and then you have less to kill them. And, standard martyrdom, quicksand. Like, he never loses anything, so you keep losing more and more.
I don't know. I think you have to look for it in another list, personally. Dwarves can crack armor, yes, but I just go back to the fact that they are slow as piss, and I dislike that. And that's why, I think it can work with Harbinger because she makes them effectively speed 6 when they're charging. Just like you can play double bastions with Harbinger and use that as your armor cracking.
I feel like this list, if you go against, like, say, a Meat Mountain type list, you just go for Gristle. You don't really have an option. I think the Reckoner helps out more with that than another unit would.
You just let everything die in the middle until you get an opening to go for the
because,
juicy center.
If she's staying out of her control range of her own dudes, like, if the Meat Mountain, specifically, the only thing he has to threaten you is melee. So you basically just charge Kreoss straight into the front line and feet and just go for Gristle. If you're actually playing a tight game, I don't think she's able to camp very much because, Mulg's not doing anything, the Axer's not doing anything, nothing's doing anything except for his 3 units, which should be held at bay for a while by your errants.
Yeah,
And,
particularly against trolls.
So if we're talking about that particular list, which is probably the worst possible matchup for your attrition, I think you just have to find a way to get to Gristle. Like, and the more long-range guns you get, the better the matchup gets. I was thinking about maybe a second Redeemer on Tristan.
We could also none of us said it, but a Vessel is still good with
the Battle Engine. That would be 15 points if we did Redeemer Vessel, so we don't have enough for that. Is there anything else small we should add to this?
Sunburst Crew.
Maybe Gorman. Jeremy, I hate you.
What?
Did you just say Sunburst?
He said Sunburst Crew.
It's a good piece.
Do you think Orin is needed?
A piece.
Or you think it's just convenience? That way you can no knockdown and no spell.
You have the book. Orin's got longer range to no spell, but the book is already in the list.
If we didn't take Gorman and we dropped the Seneschal, that gives us 15 points. We could do like Reckoner Redeemer on Tristan, and then throw in a mechanic, because that would be 4 jacks. We could throw in the Zealots again. Zealots hit pretty hard, but they're not going to last long enough against that brick style list is all I'm worried about. And I've seen Errants do work on Kreoss' feat turn. I don't know if you need 2 units.
I would say if we throw in the Zealots, should we consider Iona and Holt?
That would be a fix, but it's going to be on... Generally, you can plan on that for one round before she just gets killed.
Well, if she's hanging out behind errants, it's possible she'll stay alive, but it's not great. It depends on what you're playing against.
Holt gives you that added threat on their caster on the pop and drop. And it lets you more reliably go after some of those beefier casters, like what we were talking about earlier on the pre-ramble, like Doomy 1 behind the wall, or Gristle.
I don't know if you could get her within 16 of Gristle on the previous turn.
It kind of goes back to what you were saying about the fact that they have to meet you in the middle because they're limited to all melee on their threat.
Yeah, on that particular
I think
type
you can
of
do
army.
Yeah, I think you can get her there. Personally, their threat range is pretty short. To be fair,
it'll help you out in the if you do get stuck playing like the Butcher 3, Butcher 1, Bart matchup, anything like that you don't really want to be in. Mm-hmm. It'll give you an out.
Yeah, POW 16 bombs don't really need.
I just don't know if you'll be able to get the Zealots there. They walk threat 11. I guess that's not bad.
Yeah, the Zealots threat range, especially coming in behind the errants, has never really been their downfall.
If we put in Iona and Holt, plus the second Redeemer on Tristan, so that way
I
he's
like that.
Literally just an artillery piece in the back, so he can stay super far back because he doesn't need to do anything but allocate 4. That leaves us 1 point.
Yeah.
You could throw in Rax, but at that point, Kreoss only has 1 Reckoner, so it's not that important. But it lets him literally... Because he's upkeeping Defender's Ward every turn, you could effectively full camp 7 every turn if you're really scared, but I don't know if that's actually worth the point. I'd probably throw in the Mechanic first, but...
At this point, I would probably max the Choir before we add a Mechanic. Yeah, you've only got 3 Jacks, but...
But to be fair, 2 of them are really far back. So you basically have 2 Choir members for the Reckoner in case one dies.
So you're still going 1 unit?
At this current list is 1 unit. And
so I feel like you've just built the list to kill a caster.
This can still play pretty hard for attrition, I feel.
And you're not relying on your scatter luck as much when you've got that second Redeemer in there.
Right, because you're putting 6... I guess we only have the 1 Vassal right now, which is fine. But yeah, you're putting 6 3-inch AoEs out there at POW 8 Blast, and with Harm on the table, it could be effective POW 10. So I was thinking, though, particularly when I threw an Ion and Holt, against Colossals, you've got potential Rust Bomb and Harm, plus Purification to get rid of armor buffs. The worst you're probably going to be... Yeah, the worst you're going to be looking at is like an Arm 16, like Redeemers or Dice Off 2. Like, that's going to do damage over time. Or you could throw the Black Oil,
at that
Harm
point,
in, and just...
If you're Rust Bomb, Harm, and Battle, you're POW 18 Redeemers. That's pretty good to put 6 POW 18s.
Stormwall,
and then
else.
you just fully load a Reckoner and charge it in.
That should 1 round.
That should 1 round most Colossals, I'm pretty sure. And that's before any errant shots get lucky or anything.
Because when you get Harm and Rust Bomb on there, even a couple charges from errants are going to do 5 or 6 damage.
I really do like the concept of the double Reckoner because you have a little bit of a fallback for Kreoss.
Oh, yeah.
But he is safer with only 1.
One thing we need to talk about with this list is just how scared their caster has to be.
Right.
Especially when we have Terran in there still.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Terran, Eris 1,
Gorman,
2 Redeemers, and the Feet in the back pocket. Like, casters have to be scared to move out of their deployment zone.
And against a Warmachine caster, because we have Eris 1, like if Eris has to stay back because they've got gun mages or something, you can actually just Feet and then Disruptor Bolt their most important Jack, and you're not worried about it getting a Kreoss, stuff like that. Also, you can Black Oil. Like, you can take 2 of their legitimate threats straight out of play as retaliation pieces if you just want to play for attrition. Just like against... Let's say like Runes of War, you can Black Oil Mulg, and then, obviously Eris 1 is pointless, but you can like Death Bolt Janessa or something, get some extra damage in some places on high armor solos, and then just put everything into whatever you want, and basically have no reprisal the next turn.
The Errant's Gorman combo has always been a favorite of mine against Colossals. You really, in a lot of ways, have the ability to shut down a Colossal for an entire game. If they can't get much to come over and support that side of the table, then I've had games where half a unit of Errants and Gorman have kept a Colossal in one single place, punching 1 Errant to death per turn.
Yeah, just put the 2 Errants right in front of his base, spread out so he can't move forward, and Black Oil him, and it's like, alright, your turn. He's like, well, I forfeit movement, try and kill these fucking Errants, like self-sack. Great.
Yeah. And then you make the tough roll on your Errants.
Like, he's fine.
And that's just, you're the 1 20-point attack they get ends up not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have reached a really good place with this list.
Yeah,
We reached a list that has got really, really good assassination potential. I mean, the Reckoner and 2 Redeemers plus a Vassal on the table means you've got to be scared for where your caster is going to be at the end of their turn. And that's going to cause them to probably not be as directly involved in the battle, which directly results in you winning the attrition war with one of, if not the best attrition unit in the game with the Errants.
I was thinking for a little bit it'd be low on models, but I mean, it's
not.
10,
It's still
12,
got a lot
14,
of solos and everything, and
23 infantry models that are expected to do something during the game for the most part. That's probably fine with
2 Light Jacks also.
Yeah, the 2 lights and then the heavy. It's definitely more of an elitist list, but I feel like with this much support and specialty pieces, it's probably fine. We're going to rate this list through all the possible matchups that we expect to see. Starting off, we have Epic Haley.
playable.
I have down playable as well.
Playable. This was I put on my notes that pop and drop just kills her. All the guns absolutely terrify her, but you never get better than playable against Haley too. Except for very, very few specific exceptions.
Yeah, people that basically build a specific list against her. Pretty much in a nutshell, you have to keep Kreoss safe, which against someone like Haley is sometimes hard. That's probably why it's playable. You're both probably more focusing on the assassination game, but as we just talked about, it is possible to get her Stormwall off the table if she gets too bold with it.
You can set it up where if she feats on Kreoss, then everything in your army can shoot her after he moves up and feats her.
Kane 2, I had good.
Very
Who goes first?
I
think
it's
they're
that
both
easy,
kind
'cause-
of terrified of each other.
But Kane has a very static threat range, and Kreoss noticeably out-threats him with defeat.
Does he?
He does.
Yep.
His is 14 plus a charge of 8. And
That sounds like 22, which is Kane's threat.
what's Kane's threat again?
Charge, kill the model he engages, and then shoot the piss out of you. He's speed 7.
7, 10, 12, I guess, but you have to have direct line of sight too.
I'm just saying it's not hook, line, and sinker done. I don't disagree. I think it's just playable, though, personally. I mean, yeah, he's got an out for heightened reflexes because he can just purify it, stuff like that.
Does
but
Kane kill a fully camping Kreoss on average
Yes.
dice? Does he? He camps
got good
to
number
a
of boxes.
22 if he really wanted to, and he can put a cloud in front of himself. I think he's fine.
Defender's Ward.
Kane's-
He could
Kane's
Defender's
last
Sword.
2 shots
Realistically,
kill him.
he won't.
Depends on
We're
when
talking
you
about
use it.
actual game, not like, oh god, I'm way up, I better Defender's Ward myself. Like, it's an option. But it's
actual game, then he needs not ones to hit because
Does
he'll
he?
have a ranger there.
like, Rangers are not going to be anywhere near Kreoss. He is going to be buried in the middle of your army.
Another thing we have to talk about is Magic Bullet, though. Magic Bullet terrifies Kreoss.
Magic Bullet is annoying as crap. But once again, in this list, like he's
you
probably
gotta be conscious of
allocating
it.
1 focus and camping 6. It's going to be arm 21.
Yeah. I think you can camp focus through the worst of the beginning and get up enough that you can get behind enough stuff that Kane doesn't really have an angle.
I think that he would not want to be playing against Kreoss1. Like,
Oh yeah, they would drop. As we're about to get into Siege, they would, if they see this list across the table, they're not going to drop their Haley or their
Right.
Kane.
I totally agree with that. I do think this is better for Kreoss than it is for Kane.
Agreed.
I think because you have Gorman, you're going to have him concealed, even if it's open ground on your side of the table. You're going to be a 16
Yeah.
to hit against his 9. He's not going to be able to aim and shoot you. Unless it's super late game, he doesn't get a ranger to you. And the ranger should die super early, especially with 2 redeemers.
Yeah. Aronson Redeemers kill Rangers pretty well.
What did you originally say, Jake?
I just said that it's a favorable matchup. Pop and drop. Prop and drop beats out Kane's assassination potential. You also don't have to knock him down. If you can drift a couple of AoEs onto Kane with some boosted damage rolls,
It gets
then
it,
that
yeah.
can be game. So
I
you've got
guess that's true because he's going to be wanting to do work and gate crashing away to get away from
Yeah.
Kreoss. I don't know.
And at
I don't
dice
think he
minus
gets
5?
that bold. I don't think he gets bold enough to spend down versus Kreoss.
I don't think he's that naked, and I think he has.
This matchup neutralizes Kane a lot because Kane's expected to do a lot of work, and he can't in this matchup. He cannot come forward, spend down, and then gate crash out because he will die.
You got to realize though that he can still reload, shoot 3 things every turn, and leave.
Nice thing is, though, is that 3 shots from Kane are a lot of times 3 guaranteed kills. But when he needs 6s to hit, 7s to kill, and you get a tough roll, then he's
that
maybe going to get
significantly
1.
lowers it.
Right.
Kane is significantly neutralized, I think. So
Yeah.
definitely favorable for Kreoss.
All right, moving on to Siege. I have not played against enough Siege, so I put playable because I know that he has a good chance of killing Kreoss.
Yeah, it's a 19-inch threat range on Siege, and you can pretty much take that to the bank. If you can stay 19 inches away from Siege, then you're fine most of the time. The downside is that the storm wall that Siege is probably going to have alone can get it done. Siege does not need to be firing at Kreoss to kill him.
So he could just like charge feet.
Yeah, he could charge feet, which brings up to a 22, which is the exact same as Kreoss's. So I think it's just straight up playable. I don't think you really have any noticeable advantage from either of them. The Tempest Blazers don't get to do as much against the Errants as they do against a lot of other infantry out there. It kind of neutralizes their Electro Leaps. Needing 9s to kill with E-Leaps.
Yeah, but they get to take the blessed shots then, so it helps a little bit.
If they are taking the blessed shots, then they still need, 6s to hit and 6s to kill?
Which isn't always going to happen, but it's going to be annoying.
And once again, going back to the Rangers, Redeemers kill Rangers pretty well. So that Rupert granted defense is going to be pretty money on those Errants. Ground Pounder's not reliable.
Nope, definitely not.
It's favorable, or it's not really favorable, but it is playable.
I think they're both playing the same game for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Moving on to Lich 2 from Krix.
Ugh,
Playable.
Blood Hag.
I said playable, but I think it's all about if you can get rid of the Blood Hag. The one thing I wanted to add, possibly instead of Lady Anna Holt, was Roven, but I think Lady Anna in Master Holt is probably in the long run better. It covers
against
a lot more
it's
problems.
against more matchups. It's better, and plus, if you do run into Lich 2 and you're not feeling comfortable with it, it's not always ideal. But Fiora 2 can actually, which is seems kind of crazy on the surface because of the fact that you're bringing so many jacks, but Fiora 2 can play through the Lich matchup.
Just Fiora 2 can fix a lot of certain problems. Yeah, I think really
I played that matchup multiple times, and everything dies. And that's Minoth against Lich 2. Everything dies no matter what.
It just attritions down to everything's dead.
I think the difference is that you probably will have one heavy or a light left on the table at the end of it all.
All right, so I think we all agreed on playable for Lich. Mainly, I think it's the clouds that cause the most of a problem, because he has a real hard time assassinating Lich. So moving on, Denny 1. Like we said earlier, it's pretty much the standard gunline Denny is what we expect to see. There are alternates, obviously, but we have to pick something to grade it on, and I think that's what you're most likely to see.
Personally, I think it's bad.
For Kreoss.
For Kreoss.
I've always done playable with her, against her.
Without
How many
Roven
games
in the
is that?
list.
What?
How many games have you played against anyone?
With no
Probably
Roven,
about
I
5.
think it's just bad because nothing in Kreoss's army actually threats that far other than guns, and she can keep enough focus on her that she's not that scared of POW 8 blast damage.
You cannot kill Denny, I don't think, in this
Right.
matchup. If you kill Denny, the Denny player messed up bad, is my interpretation of how that matchup's going to go.
And Denny
The good
guns
news
will
is-
kill. I don't care if you're self-sacrificing; it will kill your errands.
Well, self-sec doesn't
Okay.
keep anyone alive, but yeah.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to tough. Your
You're
defense isn't going to matter.
You're going to lose the errands for sure, probably on the feet turn, if not sooner.
The good news is that hopefully you can feat before her and kill most of the Nis and a good portion of one other unit. Because you can't really hold out your feet for the assassination. You have to use your feet to kill Nis.
It's 100% attrition.
Yep.
I think you could kill a lot of the Nis and or other, like the Mechanothral's late game. Like the Redeemers are going to make serious money this game and probably make up for the lack of the errants.
And another thing is that against Boom Howlers, you've got the book to give if you need to do it. Fire on the crossbows is great against the Boom Howlers. So overall, I do not think it's favorable for Kreoss, but it is something that
I originally had bad.
Can play.
I do think that the two Redeemers puts it maybe to playable, but I don't think you're definitely not looking for this matchup at all.
I think you're down starting out, but you can play to even.
Probably just playable.
It's on the bad side of playable, but it's there. Gorshade 3. Or did you have another point?
Theoretically, I have not gotten a chance to play against very much Gorshade 3 yet, but theoretically I think it's very favorable because you neutralize his feet with the book. You can kill some key pieces fairly easily.
I think the book is what makes
I
this
don't
matchup
disagree.
not good.
Depending on the type of list you're looking at, though, if it's Gorshade with the Kraken, which a lot of people are playing, that might be too much beef because Armor 24 Gorshade running up with Kraken with a lot of boxes can be an issue.
Are you saying
We've
that?
got Eris on the list, which is nice.
Eris
Yeah, I
is
don't
in
think
there.
he can come forward until late game.
You can just freeze Eris.
But you gotta get to her still. I mean, if you
It's
leave
tough.
her within
It's-
run distance of a unit, I mean, you should expect her to die. Is the book faction only?
Yes.
Okay, so she doesn't get the immune to cold or the immune stationary.
No.
But otherwise, Minoth is pretty good against him. I just don't think it's anything more than playable. I think it's...
I think this is kind
It's
of like
probably
how
on the
Denny is
better
on the
side
bad
of playable.
Denny's on the bad side of playable. Gorshade's on the good side of playable.
I think if both people understand the matchup, it goes to a grind, and it's all about how many of his above average armor dudes you can kill. If he takes the incorporeal dudes, you're not gonna have a great out for them, and it's gonna be how many of the cav you can kill.
And he can force Kreoss to spin focus every turn by stealthing things.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deal with it, so it has to be purified. That's 3 focus gone off of him every turn, not including whatever you're allocating.
Are you saying that's gonna make him a lot more exposed?
I think that exposes him more, yeah.
Maybe.
And if we're playing Gorshade with the Kraken, that exposure is lethal.
I think I agree. I think it's on the good side of playable, but it's still a risky matchup. All right, moving on to
Which is a fine. I mean, if
Yeah, it's
no,
some
yeah.
of Krix's
You shouldn't be
best-
the way
expecting.
this
you know.
game is going to play. I mean, you're never going to have good matchups.
The fact that we went through Krix and we had mostly you're in this game should be a good sign. Going on to Butcher 3 from Khador.
Do you have Eris?
Yes.
Do you have Eris?
Yes. This is a good.
Then we're good.
Like you were saying, you were a little worried about Iron Fangs. I think for the most part, they're just not going to get. Well, they can be immune to knockdown with the Kovniks. So if you can scalpel out the Kovniks, you're in a much better spot. But for the most part, I don't think Butcher can do work, and he kind of has to do work to make this list work.
I don't know.
Silence
The
of
only
Death
way-
is scary.
Silence to Death is scary, but you can still. This is a situation where the book can say, "I'm lighting every single one of you on fire this turn."
Yeah, that's
and
really
that gets
frustrating.
rid of their iron. That gets past their Iron Zeal turn,
And their shield
which is
wall.
where they're
Well,
yeah.
hard to deal with.
Iron Zeal is immune to continuous effects, also, right?
Is it?
No, it's immune to knockdown and stationary.
Yeah.
It is not. It does not provide. It's just +4 armor and knockdown and stationary.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the Iron Fang pikemen have an enormous weakness to continuous effects.
Okay.
That's exactly why I don't like the Butcher 3 list, because he straight up gets destroyed by Lich, in my opinion.
You also have a nice little corner case scenario where Redeemers drifting into the back arcs of Iron Fangs is pretty hilarious.
POW 8 to their effective, if they're not feated, because it's range 16, he can't mini feat every turn. It's effective dice off 6. Once you remove a couple specific models, you might start removing shield wall on several of them, and then your Aaron's gonna kill them.
If Terran just shadow fires a couple of them, even if she doesn't kill them, if she picks 2 Iron Fangs to shadow fire and you target the ones that are behind, then you could kill 2 or 3 up front potentially.
Or you just shadow fire the Iron Fangs and shoot the Kovniks behind them.
Yeah, that too. You've got outs. I think overall this is a good matchup because of Eris being in the list. A good matchup.
Aaron's plus the book, and let's be honest, because he does no support for his army other than the Silence of Death, when the Iron Fangs get to you, your errants are still hit on 9s, and you're just like, whatever.
Also, if you protect the book is a ridiculous thing for him to deal with because he has to spend literally
go-
5 focus to kill it.
Or you say no spells, and he just stands in front of the book and is like,
Well, he still he has to buy 5 single attacks
exactly,
against
yeah.
it.
And he has to get to it.
You're also surprisingly pretty safe from Butcher, I think, because on the turn you feat and go for Butcher, you're probably going to kill both his dogs also. And if you fail, then if you have like Kreoss hiding behind a wall, without his dogs, Butcher has a really hard time getting to Kreoss.
Yeah, not to mention that he can't Vengeance because he's knocked down. He can't Madeline move because he's knocked down. His threat is static, and it's really hard for him.
So I think that all these reasons and more.
All these reasons and more, it's good. I think it's the flaw of Butcher. Any control really messes with him, and he has trouble versus any kind of list that can assassinate.
Does Aaron
And also,
negate its
yeah,
feat?
the book negating impending doom.
No. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think of that. I'm so used to Eris 2. That's so frustrating. You could you feat and you shoot him with Eris 1 and he doesn't get focused next turn. And then Jeremy asks, like, does his feat get around it? Is like, I think it does, because I'm pretty sure Disruptor Bolt says when you replenish focus. And that is not replenishing focus. My war room will respond. There we go.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Disruptor Bolt. The small hit loses all focus points. A model hit with the focus manipulation special rule does not replenish focus points during its next turn. His feat is gain 6 focus. Okay, so we all agree it's good. We could talk about it probably a little bit longer, but there's no point. Moving on to Sorsha 1. I have good
Killer.
because you have a book, and that's just fucking awful. I played that matchup. It's bad. Maybe I'm the worst player in the history of the world, but that's a bad matchup.
Maybe she'll kill the book, but then again, maybe you'll have 4 errants standing in front of it that you self-sacrifice.
Right. It's hard enough for her to kill the book at a distance, and the Redeemers, even though if you're playing the Ocean's 18 style list where it's lots of solos, they still will die to blast. It just takes longer. You have to boost them. Yeah, it's
Which is
still
fine.
not good. Yeah, and not Eris, but Sorsha just dies if she gets too
Yeah,
close.
if she's within 22 inches of Kreoss, it's a bad time.
Now, don't get me wrong. She's going to kill some stuff. I think you win the game.
She can't cast Freezing Grip at the errants,
Right.
which even if the book dies, she still can't Freezing Grip them, which is awesome.
She can feat them, and then she scalpels out the flag, and then she can freezing grip them.
Stop using logic.
I played that matchup. I told you. The whole time I was like, just move the flag, not within an inch of anyone else. Just do it. It's fine. And they did. I was like, sweet.
Butcher 1?
I
See all relevant notes on Butcher 3, with the exception being his feet.
Right. I always am torn on which way we should do this one. If we should do what is his name? Cool Kurt's list from St. Louis, where he runs the gun line with Butcher 1, or the list I made, which is pretty much the way everyone plays Butcher 3, but with an extra unit and no support.
I don't think it's really all that different from how you play it, honestly. I think the errants do the same thing. Maybe a couple more of them die against the gun line, but I don't really think it's all that different no matter what list you're facing.
Yeah, well, he's got the Rifle Corps, which are actually going to do pretty good work on his feet turn, because they're basically not going to miss and not fail to break armor for the most part. But I think same reason he can't play the long game as well as you can, because he can't come into the game. And you can kill Winterguard easily with blast damage, Chaosies easy with blast damage, Nis easily with blast damage, and Widowmakers easily with blast damage. So he's
Double Redeemer is just really, really good against Khador, period.
Really, you don't say. That's
Yeah.
odd.
I'm letting the super secret tech out of the bag.
Damn it.
Get this,
People are
guys.
gonna play
Blast
Redeemers
damage
now.
is good against high damage.
Yeah.
Or blast
High
damage
defense.
is good against high defense. I don't know. It's crazy.
Moving on, Kreoss1, I had playable.
Oh, the mirror match.
I think it's bad.
Bad.
Man,
It's bad times.
Because I'm bad at Kreoss1.
who feats on the other Kreoss first?
Yeah, so it's playable. We're going to mark that.
I'm just kidding, because you have both people have the book.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably one of the most miserable games ever, because nobody can do anything. It's like
What was
Defenders
the,
Ward and Errants don't die to fucking Redeemers.
I'm gonna quote Scott Ray, who was quoting Minoth John, who said something about watching 2 old people trying to fuck. That's what this matchup would be.
Yeah, it would be boring as shit. All right, moving on to Fiora 2. I play it the way that Fat Asian used to play it, where he took basically as many heavies as possible for the most part. I've talked to him a little bit about this list. I run Judicator, 2 Reckoners, and a Templar with Zealots to contest his own, and then some support. I think it'll be okay, but I haven't played it yet. But most Fiora 2s, you're either going to see Judicator or Redeemer, and then other stuff. All the continuous fire is really annoying.
Who dies first between Kreoss or Fiora?
Kreoss. To fire in the kitchen.
Does Purification remove fire in her control area?
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
That's really bad for her.
I mean,
Yeah,
she
true.
can't leave it in play for long periods of time, but I mean, you shouldn't really rely on that anyway. I think the bigger problem is, how do you kill that many heavies? So we automatically
don't.
default back to, can I kill her? And I think you can.
You can.
With Terran in the list, as long as Terran lives to get into range of the Judicator, and you have your army in position, you can kill her, because you can just feat, purify. She's 15, 16? 15, 17. She's a beefy one, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's got the God stat line. So 15,
It's also
17.
really random, because
Ooh,
it's
actually.
going to depend a lot on deviations. Who's getting deviations where?
This might be really bad. The Redeemer damage is not classified as fire. The
Okay.
Reckoner cannot hurt her.
Yeah, probably on the bad side of playable. Very much so like Denny 1.
Yeah, I think it's if you can kill her. If it's not a kill box scenario, I think this goes pretty bad, because she just chills way in the back and lets her jacks bully you. I had that too. I had the bad side of playable originally.
I had bad originally.
Do you think there's a chance now with Terran in the list?
Yeah.
So would you agree probably bad side playable?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Harbinger. She is immune to knockdown. She will have a shield guard. She can camp, and if she's got the shield guard, she takes the Eris shot probably. That's
Playable.
Depends on. I don't know which one do they take. Do they take the Reckoner shot or do they take the Air shot?
I think they just absorb the air shot and camp. Or they take the air shot on the shield guard and just camp. Because if she camps like 6 or 7, she's like a 20-something.
It's a lot of damage when you're martyring from a boosted Reckoner shot that you don't really want to
Yeah,
take.
that's true. That is a good point. Just cast the Pyre Troll Amos on her, make her immune to fire.
Ah, there you go.
Does the Reckoner hit her in cover? She's an 18? Probably does. Needs a 10, yeah. The problem would be if you go in for the assassination and miss the Reckoner shot on a boosted 10, then you're just like, well, that was bad.
Bad side of playable, I think.
The
And you're
problem
not
is
guaranteed
the Redeemers cannot hit her because they need like fucking 13s.
Yeah.
Even aiming, they need 13s. Like, they're not going to hit her, so it's literally got to be the Reckoner. I don't think you can kill her.
Too much
Even if you hit her with the arrow shot, she just takes the POW 12, a dice off 2, and then transfers the boosted Reckoner shot.
The thing about the Reckoner shot is it drops your defense.
Yeah,
That's
but
relevant.
then you still need 11s on the Redeemers? I don't know.
I don't think you can do enough damage to let you win the attrition war, so probably a bad.
Because her
bad
feat's
matchup.
going to give her an extra turn of breathing room because you can't move up your solos at risk of death. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably not. I don't know. It's probably playable, but I think it's on the bad
Gorman
side.
up.
You can move Gorman up. Good call. Just run Gorman right up there by himself.
Then you can Black Oil her and you start not worrying about missing.
She can't be blinded. He's like, shh. I would like to throw Black Oil at a Harbinger and see if they know that. Because I bet you most Harbinger players don't realize that. Because that comes up so rarely.
Most Harbinger players don't know what Cataclysm does.
Yeah, that's true. That's sad. The more I think about it, the more I think it's terrible for you. But
Yeah, bad matchup.
I think it's not good.
I
What do you
think
think,
it's
Matt?
playable
would be
but
a-
annoying.
I think it's playable.
You think it's bad side playable or just playable?
Might be bad side, but I think it's playable.
I'm going to go bad side of playable.
I'm gonna go with
Because
bad.
she can
so
martyr
we're gonna
them,
settle.
She can, but she doesn't.
but that doesn't last forever, just like re-rolling with Morvana.
Yeah. She can heal a lot, though. She can't camp and heal a lot.
You can also kill the shield guard.
Well, that's true. Knockdown gets rid of the shield guard. So we're back to her having no focus. Yeah, that's probably more playable than I was thinking originally.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Because she's going to have a book. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Well, then
maybe
it all
she does
depends
have
if you
the
can
book.
draw lines of sight. I mean,
I would...
you can kill the book with 5 gunshots.
Not under martyrdom.
That's true. You can kill the book with 5 gunshots if you're playing Krix.
I think the biggest problem with this is you guys are playing most of the same crap, and she's better than you are. She has better nose. She has more denial than you do.
Yeah.
Because if it gets really close in, her errants aren't under awe.
It's super dependent on like the specific matchups also.
Yeah.
Like what specific models are in each person's list and how they match up. I think overall, I think I'm going to stick with bad side of playable. I'm going to upgrade from
do
bad
agree.
to bad side of playable. Because if they don't have the book, then you can Eris her.
I have the feeling that she has really no chance of assassinating you, barring an attrition war into an assassination, and you actually have a shot at killing her. It's just not a good one.
Yeah.
I do think it's bad side of playable, but I think it's playable. Moving on.
Good call.
Mother Directrix.
I have no fucking idea.
I stared at
I
that
just
one for
went
a
with
while.
playable
I was like,
because I don't know.
I thought about it, I was like, can he kill Gorman on the way in to blind one of his... I think if you blind one of the jacks on the turn, you really go hard in, you're fine. I also think you just kill Mother.
I don't think she can be up far
Probably.
enough.
Where's she going to be, though? Like, she's got to be fairly close to her jacks, or else... You have 16-inch range, so
So does she.
on her
You've got
control
10
area,
range.
yeah.
And then she arc nodes.
Well, if she's just standing on the back table, but you can't arc node when you're engaged. You just run 2 errands, one to engage each one. You're like,
she's going to
what are
have
you gonna
enough
do?
jacks and those little floaty things. That
The
she
servitors?
Can, yeah.
I don't know, I
She
think
can't arc through those.
the servitors?
Yeah.
Her
Her
bots.
servitors, yes, but she's got a command range. They can't be out of formation.
Yeah.
Why are we even talking about arcing? Like, what is she? What
I
is
have
she?
no
arcing?
She
idea.
is-
Relevant.
Somebody just mentioned it, and I went with it. I don't know
I don't
how this
know what-
matchup plays at all.
Yeah, she is Field
I
Marshal.
agree.
Apparition.
I
No,
think
arc
you
node,
She is
sorry.
Arc Node, yeah.
You never kill either of the Colossals. You only... Well, actually, I take that back. That's not true, because we talked earlier about
Yeah, you can kill one.
about the Rust Bomb harm combo.
Yeah, and then you just jam the other one, and I don't think it can do
So you
enough
control
work.
it.
The problem would be like
Yeah.
shrapnel. Well, no, because you can't shoot shrapnel swarm at your errands. And if it doesn't
Yeah.
hit, it doesn't do the AoE.
Her gun's legit, though.
Her gun's legit, but I mean, how much work can a gun do?
But if she's in
On
range
tough
of that
errands.
gun, she's in range to get pop
Yeah,
and
she's
drop.
dead if she shoots that gun.
playable.
I think it's
'Cause you
worst
have to-
playable.
You have to control one of those axioms. You may be able to kill one of them, but you have to control the other.
Are they armor 19 or 20? 20. They're 20s.
Mm-hmm.
You can do 2 boosted Redeemer shots into one of them, and then so you can do 3 boosted Redeemer damage rolls into one, and then the Reckoner's damage roll, and then you can ancillary a normal damage roll from the Reckoner. Probably like 15 damage with that, maybe. You soften it up a little bit, and then go in for it, and then maybe blind the other one, if you can pull that off. I think it's probably what you do.
Yeah.
You try and blind one to ignore it, and then go for the second one to kill it.
But you have to keep, and you're angling for that. All this time is just posturing for the assassination. You're doing all this to tempt Mother into coming up and doing something to get her out of this. And then as soon as she comes up, it's pop and drop time.
You do need to be careful. With self-sack, you're probably fine on the errants, because you need to make sure he doesn't drag in your Reckoner after you try and take out one of the prime axioms. But with self-sack on the errants, you can probably put someone in the way that's going to never die, so...
The most important thing in this matchup is the fact that the Convergence player is never going to drop her in this matchup.
Yeah, agreed.
They're going to drop Father.
So,
True.
What's your final decision on Mother, you think?
Good side of playable.
It's at least playable.
Yeah.
But that's all I got on it because I have no idea.
Yeah, we haven't had a good Convergence player up here yet, so... But on Friday, supposedly Jason Watt will be joining us for the podcast.
Ooh.
Yay! Okay, moving on to Father LeConte. Bad.
Bad.
That's what I went with.
Bad.
I've
how
actually
do you
got
kill
3
anything?
Bs right here.
Just bad. Let's talk about it for a second, just so other people agree with us. I don't
Can't
know
knock
if
anything
he's immune to knockdown, but I know almost all of his jacks are.
He is 100% steady.
He is.
Why is he?
steady.
God, so dumb. And then he's got a million shield
Every
guards.
He's not going to take any floaty jacks. He's only going to take steady jacks.
And then his armor's
Wait,
just...
are the floaty jacks steady also?
No.
Pathfinder.
Are they also immune to knockdown, though?
No.
Yeah. I believe you.
Okay.
I haven't read his card, actually.
Well, he's only going to take steady jacks. Yeah, you could knock down the reciprocators for a turn, make them choose.
And D
Make them choose
cell
between shield wall
can't be
or
purified.
doing anything.
So annoying.
Yeah, D-cell.
Read Lucan's card. That's why it's bad. All right, moving on. Bart, probably looking at gun mages and or Nis and or both. And definitely a Galleon, probably another heavy, and a Vanguard.
Well, if it's 2 galleons, I'm going to go with straight up bad. I don't know how you deal with them, and correct me if I'm wrong, but batten down the hatching's not purifiable.
It is not, and it gives immune to knockdown.
There you go. Problems.
Yeah,
you try to come in, and he
don't
has this
know.
cool feat that does things.
Well, technically, you can put the book in a position
You
that
could
will
do the
prevent the knockdown. The problem is he doesn't give a fuck
Like,
if
what
you
are
put the
you-
Reckoner into his Galleon.
He does. Like, what are you going to put into melee with his galleon that he's going to give a shit about?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, honestly, he can play 1, and you probably can't deal with it.
Yeah, because then he just has more support and protection for it, and the Galleon just kills everything eventually. Mainly that you can't assassinate Bart. That's why I like the second Reckoner, because it at least puts the assassination on the table. The Redeemers just can't hit Bart. Even at a defense 13, they can't hit Bart. Because they're not aiming the Rat 3, they need 10s.
Maybe they are aiming.
I don't know if the Reckoners can even get through his armor with Batten.
With Batten, he's a base 19. Dice off 4.
Your dice -4 before any camp.
And if he's only got 1 Galleon, he's probably camp at least 2. Osram with a Earthbreaker, Thor, standard loadout.
I think my initial thought was bad.
I think it's a similar problem as Bart. Not quite as bad, but I don't think you're as bad at going offensive, but I think on the defensive you're more threatened on the assassination.
The good
Book helps a lot, but I mean, if there's ever a turn he doesn't camp, then he just can boost to hit you and kill you that way.
Yeah, the whole point of this, though, is that because he only has the 1 Reckoner, he's probably only allocating 1 focus a turn at most. Maybe 2 if you get crazy.
You may want to purify things, man.
But
that's 3 focus.
Against Ostrom, what do you need to purify? If you're not going for
Maybe
this...
you want to force him to cast Snipe again. I don't know.
I'm going to force you to cast Snipe and kill me. Like, okay. You wouldn't cast Purification unless you're going for the Assassination. This is the only time you would cast it in this matchup. You shouldn't even be tempted to cast it.
Bullet Dodger.
Bullet, yeah, when you're going for the Assassination.
Mm-hmm.
Ostrom is a base armor 16, is that right?
Why are you looking at me?
I think it's a
You
15.
have mercenaries.
I'm pretty sure it's 15, 16. Jeremy.
What the hell is his first name?
He's a 14-17.
He's General Osram.
There we are.
He's a 14-17.
Is he?
Yeah.
17's a little annoying. I think it's probably all right.
And his crit decap.
Because you have Gorman for the Cloud, if you want to give concealment. So he's going to be defense 16. If you don't allow the Earthbreaker to aim, then, what is he? He's at 5. He's going to need 11, so he's going to have to tune up to hit, and then just go for riding slightly better than 50% chances, and then gets maybe 3 boosted damage rolls at... If you're camped 6, it's going to be not great.
But he can do that over multiple turns with
He
Snipe.
can, but, I mean, within reason, you should be posturing for position to kill him. Or just move Gorman up and Black Oil his Earthbreaker. And then he's really sad.
Does he have Dougal? If you're not playing Bart with Osram, if you're playing something
You potentially
like
have
with
Dougal,
Excellent,
yeah.
then you have Dougal in there too, potentially, which makes Gorman a dead man.
Does it?
I don't know.
Why does Dougal make Gorman a dead man? Because of Artillerist?
Yeah. He's going to drift something on
Rerolls
Gorman.
2. 2 with rerolls is probably enough. It's only power
definitely-
7. That's dice off 5. You do need to roll a 10 to kill him, but that's not that bad.
Yeah.
This is probably straight playable.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because Ostrom also has to be pretty careful. You have a way to make the assassination hard. I don't think he has any way to make it hard for you, other than him killing all of your stuff.
His feet, plus 2 armor
Plus 2
everywhere.
armor. So that puts him to a 19. That'd make it harder to kill him that turn.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but it
Yeah,
helps.
it'd be really hard to force it through. I feel like you could just wait till the feet drops.
But by
Yeah.
then you might have a lot less shit. That's all I'm saying.
You don't really need your solos to get him, though.
The only
No,
solos
solos
you
don't.
really
Unless-
need is
unless he's
Terran
camping a whole
and
bunch.
Eris specifically.
And those can probably stay far enough back that they're fine. Probably.
And you could spread out enough
Well-
to where he's devoting most of his Earthbreaker's activation to trying to kill them and potentially still failing.
Playable.
Excellent Texas. I have good.
Good
Good.
matchup.
Yep. All right, we're good.
Blast damage is really cool
Yeah.
against
You
Cephalus.
should kill almost all of his dudes, if not all of them.
He has D-cell, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you sack pawn while knocked down? I was under the impression you can't, but I certainly could be wrong on that because I don't play enough sack pawn.
I haven't read anything that says
It's an
that.
excellent question.
And D-cell is 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it? Okay.
I still think it's good, no matter any way you slice it.
I don't
Even
think he
with
has the
the-
tools to kill your army.
So,
Sack pawn, you can.
You can't. How's he
can.
really going to chew through your errands?
Can you just... Well, the errants would be hard to get rid of, especially since you can't cast spells with them. And if you position
Yeah.
properly, he won't be able to get a bunch of sprays or AoEs at them. Even under D-cell, they're only like 14, 17.
Well, he's also got the unit that he can pop 4 guys with 4-inch AoEs. That doesn't target the errants.
It doesn't... Oh, because he blows up his own guys?
Yeah.
That particular.
But that
I mean,
spell, I don't
the-
think does
the
enough
Cephalus-
damage that matters.
It's like POW 8 or something.
I'm not honestly sure.
I feel like that unit dies before it ever gets there, because with the Blessed Crossbows, you're just shooting 12-15s. Like, they just get
Yeah.
victim statted to death.
You only have
Playable.
1 unit of errands,
Too.
though.
Good.
They'll get.
That's
They're
good.
going to kill the guys on the way in, but they get there. I still think it's good. Don't get me wrong.
I think you could clean
I
up most of them with either the Redeemers and stuff like that. If you harm the unit, I don't think they're spell word or anything. If you harm the unit, then you have effective POW 10 blast damage. Like, you get boost on the last couple guys you got left.
Is it Shield Guard or Sacrificial Pawn that is the relationship between monstrosities
Sack
and
Pawn.
Exelon?
Sackpawn. Everything they have in
They're all sack pawns, so your knockdown doesn't do anything. You have to clear out all the models around them.
The Warden is the only thing
Okay.
in there that is actual Shield Guard, and it's one of their heavies.
Okay. So that doesn't matter. So you're really not angling for the assassination so much as you can just use the feat for 1 turn of absolutely devastating their dudes.
Oh, freaking concussion pulse. Star action. Center 4-inch AoE on this model. Enemy models suffer POW 12 magical damage roll. That's pretty powerful.
It's not bad, yeah. It's pretty good.
They shouldn't get there, though. They shouldn't get there.
They're a 6-point unit. There can be a fuck ton of them, is all I'm saying. I'm not telling you it's a bad matchup. I'm just saying they'll get there.
Right. I just feel like he's trading a whole unit for possibly 4 errants. Which...
It's 4-6. The errants are worth twice as much.
Yeah, but he's giving up a unit to kill maybe 40% of them before Tufts. Like, I feel like you kill that unit.
They can do it 3 times.
Right. I'm counting
Okay.
that.
They're only going to get off. They'll only get off 2 max because of self-sacrifice. You'll turn their 3 into 2 by self-sacrificing onto the ones that haven't been affected yet.
And then you still have Tough with no knockdown on top of it. If you know they're doing AoE crap because their whole faction...
Don't get me wrong. I think errants are amazing. You are overestimating how much they can deal with.
Probably, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. You could also just kill his monstrosities to a point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's bad, straight up.
Yeah.
Their armor 19 max. Yeah, they got a lot of boxes, but they're going to be crippled very quickly, and then they're going to die.
Moving on to Assyria from Rhett.
I put D for dead.
You think she just gets murdered?
Yes.
But she can ignore stealth. If you scalpel out Terran and you have a huge base, you have something to hide behind. If you scalpel out Terran and Eris, I think you might live.
How does she scalp? What she
Her
using to
feet
scalpel out
gives
Terran?
true sight. Her feet gives true
What
sight.
is she? Terran doesn't have stealth.
Oh, well, never mind. She's just, what does she have? Nothing?
Defense 14.
She's defense 14. No, defense 15. Defense 15 armor
Is
11.
she a 15?
I knew she was annoying. I knew she is killable, though.
I thought she was worse than Gunmage stats.
Well, her feet also, yeah, she's a 15-12
Okay.
with 5 boxes.
Even still,
Oh, and she
Aaron's
has
face
partner
tank,
Wrecker Shot.
Assyria dies.
Yeah, I think Assyria probably gets dead pretty quick. Viros 2.
Dodge the matchup.
Don't care about this matchup, personally. It could be
Can we
good.
just not talk about this one?
It could
Why?
be good, I guess. I don't know.
Is there a
I have
reason?
no idea what to say on this. That's why.
I don't think...
I think it's like, can I pop and drop and kill them? Because otherwise I probably can't deal with armor 20 griffins.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think it's an issue. I've never seen anyone buy the model.
I've got them down up in my room in my bag right now.
I don't believe you.
I probably bought them from you.
So this is
Yeah.
probably... What are your odds of killing Viros, then?
It's all
Low.
whether or not you can hit the Eris shots, the big thing. And then after that, it's can your Redeemers and...
Oh, he's not immune to
Reckoner.
knockdown, right?
No.
So it's just if you land that and then he dies, you think? He's a
If he can keep it away from you, then he can maybe survive. But he's an 18 still, so I mean, it's not super easy, but it's... You're only dice off 4. That 6 shots right there will do damage. And then the Reckoner does damage.
So I'll put playable here, because if you fail that assassination, which is not super great odds, you'll probably just lose the game on attrition. So moving on to Ossian.
Bad. Bad.
I don't know why.
How does he live through this matchup? He's a 14-16?
He's 15-15.
15-15. Jake.
Yes.
Okay.
I
I thought you died.
No, I would never.
Promise me one thing. That you'll never, ever die. I promise? All right.
Why do you think Ossian's bad matchup?
Are you just afraid
the
of
feet.
dying yourself?
Read both parts of the feat, is my opinion.
The incoming reduction?
Yeah.
You don't think? So if he feeds before you, you don't think you can wait a turn to feed? I mean, if he feed before you and you have the option to wait a turn, I feel like he failed because you're still alive.
Personally, I think you can kill him under his feet.
Arm 15, dice off 1, averaging 2.5 a hit.
With 6 shots?
7 if you...
Or you could just boost him?
The problem is you just boost a dice off 1. So you give 3 to 1, 1 to the other. You do 3 boosted damage rolls is averaging 18 damage, on assuming you don't hit a crit miss. That's before the Reckoner or the Vassal Shot.
Alright, so it's better than I thought.
As long as you don't die to his Mage Hunters or something like that.
And you won't. It's
Yeah.
Raven. If Raven's on this list, Raven out like I have speed 7, range 16 guys that ignore everything. And they have 3 dice to hit.
Kreoss can usually stay far enough behind his own lines that they don't really threat him, or at least enough of them. And between the 2 Redeemers and all the other stuff, I think you would get a decent number of them dead before that happened. So you would have to basically just get lucky with the Strike Force.
Or maybe Kreoss gets lucky.
I put good.
If you focus 50 points to killing 10, there's like 45 still coming at you.
And obviously all of these are affected heavily by killbox scenarios. Morvana 2. The game you probably don't want to play, because I feel like this goes to clock every time.
I don't think anybody wants that.
Like, nobody wants to go to the clock, or nobody wants to play against Morvana 2.
Nobody wants both.
Okay.
I was gonna say the second one, but both is actually true, so I'm gonna say both.
You might have some trouble with the Stalkers and or the Warborn Skinwalkers. For the most part, I think you attrition through his list and force him to play more aggressively.
It depends on how long the trees are around for.
They can always be around again.
That's true. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. You have to force him to feat for attrition, or if he just gets bad placement and puts his caster somewhere she shouldn't be. That's the thing I hate most about her beyond anything else. I'm fine with all the stuff she does. She should not be a mobile caster. If she was Sevi 1 and did everything she does, no one would bitch.
If she was just Morvana 1, nobody would bitch.
Yeah, it was like...
With the different spell list. Mm-hmm. I'm 15-13.
Hey, it's not 13-15.
With every buff in the game.
With every defensive buff in the game. And a friend who likes to help you. I do think it's a playable matchup. It might be...
Miserable?
One of the best. Yeah, it's miserable, but it might be one of the best matchups for her in Menoth.
Yeah.
Does anyone disagree?
No.
Camp the Lamentations of the Suffering.
Chromac.
Good.
I think this is good.
Sure.
The biggest problem in here is the stalkers. If he has a good way to keep them stealthed, I feel like you still just win this matchup. You do have to be careful because Kreoss can still die, but like even if you choose to go for attrition, if you can knock down his stalkers and they're not prowled, I feel like you just murder them, like just straight to death. And then it's like Gedorex can't kill your whole army, so just don't lose Kreoss. So I'm leaving that.
I agree with everything that was just said, with the one notable addition that Warpath Trick never works against you.
Unless he gets a tree to you. If he gets a tree to you, you should feel bad.
Yeah.
Does he take a tree?
I've seen him with 2 Gallows Groves to try and do the Rift Assassination. It's uncommon. It's a good 1-point filler, though. Good. Yeah, the problem is if you're trying to fill a point, you're going to take the Swamp Gobbers first to give stealth to the wolves.
Who just die anyways.
Moving on, Kruger 2. I didn't even rate this one. I didn't know what to do.
Bad side of playable?
Yeah, I agree with Max.
But
read the back of his card.
Is he immune to knockdown?
Of his spell card or his card? This is important.
Or read the entirety.
Okay.
Both sides.
Damn
of
it.
the spell card.
He's played.
There you go. That's why.
Is he immune to knockdown?
No.
He is a warlock, however, which makes killing him much harder.
Does make it harder. If he camps to 7, don't you just kill his beasts? Because he's like armor 14, isn't he?
15.
He's a 15.
I don't think it's quite that bad.
15-15.
Yeah. So you just pump everything you have into him at dice off 1 and kill his stalkers because they've got like 25 hit points. Like, what does he have left after you do that? And then he's still naked, knocked down in the middle of his army.
The range issue comes into play, though. Like, it's tough to actually...
But you can shoot him for the most part. So what he does
is he goes in deep, and he hits all 3 of your warjacks with his worm tongue, and then you can't allocate focus to him.
Boom.
Is that a gun?
No.
Okay.
It's his melee weapon. It has reach, sir.
Oh, I got you. When you said super deep, you meant literally in your deployment zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Stormwall
wasn't
is
expecting
pretty bad, isn't it?
It's -5 range if you're making an attack from within his control area. So the Redeemers ignore it. If he's within 14 of the Redeemers, it's irrelevant because they still just shoot him. It's like they walk forward 3 inches and shoot him in the face. The Reckoner is the only one you have to worry about, and he has Assault, so it's not an issue. And if he has the Reckoner in his control area, there's a whole nother problem.
Why are you bringing logic
assault
into
on
this
his feet
and maths?
On his feet.
If he feats, you cannot assault.
And that's another point, is that they have to walk 3 inches in order to get in range, and they can only walk 2 inches in on the feet.
So, but that means you walked to within 10 inches of them, or within 12 inches of the Redeemers, who are basically on your deployment line, and then feated to have them still in your control area.
Exactly.
Okay, and then they walk 3 inches backwards and shoot you.
2 inches. Only 2.
Oh, okay. They walk 2 inches backwards and shoot you. There's only a 3-inch bubble in which they can't shoot you. They walk 2 inches in one of those directions and shoot you.
Stop with your math. It's making my head hurt. Fine, I concede.
Let me hit you with some knowledge. I don't think I've ever played against Kruger 2.
This would be just the stupidest thing in the entire world to watch. Just
the Kruger player trying to do the math on how to not get shot by a Redeemer.
The Kruger player would clock himself out trying to do the math.
Kruger 1. He plays Kruger 1. Yeah, you cannot be safe from Redeemers unless they're packed in by models that can't move.
All right, so
I guess you could TK yourself. No,
it is a good matchup because the Kruger player clocks himself out trying to figure out the math. All right, moving on.
I do think it's probably bad for Kruger because Kruger can die.
We already established that clocking out is a worse death than dying.
I don't know. It's probably more on the playable side because Kreoss does have to be careful. I've seen Kreoss die very early to Getorix in important games. So
Playable.
Kruger 2 is a good caster. Veil 2.
Oh, we're going straight to Legion? Okay.
That's how we roll.
I mean,
Okay.
that's where
It's
we
a good,
are.
because you shoot her to death and shake their hand.
Oh, nice. That's kind of what I was thinking.
I put good.
Yeah, I had good as well. And even if they
Do
did,
we-
like, you just shoot Legion Beasts off the table, especially when you have options for knockdown.
Do we need to move on to Saren, or can we just copy and paste all the same notes?
Yeah, Saren is even better. I do like Defense 9 knockdown models sometimes. I know that she's 7, right?
She drops to 7, then gets...
Is knockdown defense 5? Yeah, it's 5. So she's a 7
up
with
to
force
7.
barrier. Yeah. So the Redeemers,
and
if
then
they get
down
to...
to 5 after the Reckoner shoots her.
Yeah, if the Redeemers get to aim, then they hit on that ones. If they don't get to aim, then they hit on force.
Till the Reckoner.
I don't know, man.
Till the
All those
Reckoner
mini-
shoots and flares her, then it's irrelevant. Okay, Kreoss1. I think it's actually just playable because there's a lot of beef in that list, and
what
he's
I
kind of
put, but-
tanky. I don't know if you could actually just assassinate him because he's base armor 16. That's
17.
pretty squishy. Oh, he's 17? No, he's a 16. Are
This
you
one's
looking at the right
actually-
Thagrosh?
Oh, right.
This one's actually really, really fun because your errants can actually charge War Spears and kill stuff in melee, and then quick work.
And then quick work, yeah.
It's super fun because you have Iona harm them, your errants.
And they don't
charge
get
And then your
set
errants
defense,
miss
yeah.
them.
Well, assuming feed, I think is what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because if you don't feed, then you're going to be engaged and you won't be able to quick work. But you do this and you quick work, and then you're only dice -6 off on your quick work shots, so you're going to be able to kill even more ogres with your quick work shot. It's so much fun. No, you're only dice off 4 because of the harm. There you go. You probably take like 5 errants to kill 5 ogres.
If you get an assassination, obviously it's good for you. He's going to be an arm 16 with 20 box? No, he's only like 18 on that version, I think. But with transfers, 7 possible transfers, probably more like 4 or 5.
18 boxes.
18 boxes. I think he could probably live through your assassination. But, I mean, and then he can feat back for attrition, but I think it gives you a huge leg up in the long game.
Yeah, you're not playing the assassination game against Thagrosh. You're playing the attrition game where you kill all his ogres and you kill 2 beasts to shooting, and then
And you have an enlivened
brings one
reckoner,
back.
murder a beast a turn, and then back up. It's probably on
And
the
then-
good side of playable, but I think it's still a game.
Thagrosh goes for the mutagenesis at the very end of it. You
Yeah.
always got to look out for that one.
So don't stand
Because-
people within 2 inches of your caster.
That one works about 3% of the time.
3%. Moving on to Scorn Hexeris 2.
That's what I put, but I don't know why it's only playable.
He can't black spot your errants. That's a bonus.
He can ashes to ashes his own stuff.
He can.
That's right next to your errants.
He can.
But he also relies
Does
on a
ashes
good
to ashes-
damage roll or good dice roll.
Yeah.
And it's POW 10, so if your defender's
dice off
warded,
8.
it's problems.
Dice off 8, tough, no knockdown. I think that's a failing strategy. Let alone if he casts ashes to ashes, I think he dies unless he feats to camp. He doesn't get his
errants-
shield guards while knocked down.
Scorn just hates errants in general, and they also
Scorn
hate
fucking hates
purification.
purification.
Yeah, that's
If
bad.
you didn't have
And-
purification, they say safeguard, fuck you. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure half the stuff in this list is the stuff is like in the list of top 5 things that Scorn hates to see.
Yeah, I think this is
So-
probably pretty bad because your errants, for the most part, will just kill most of his infantry. I can see him taking. The only ones you might struggle with are like Satrati, and he's not going to be taking Satrati. Yeah, it's probably pretty good for you, I would think, actually.
I would say it's playable to the extent that you feel like playing with your opponent before killing him.
If this normally the heavy he takes is like a sentry, he might have another one in there, but you almost always see the sentry with him. And it's just going to be a bad time when he gets to the defense 15 errants and needs like 10s to hit.
I don't know if you knew this, but it's actually a proven fact that Scorn really, really likes seeing defenders warded reckoners. It's one of their favorite things in the world.
He only needs 9s
Those-
to hit that.
Now, yeah, Nat 5 sentries love it.
All right, moving on to Makeda 2. I have playable because it's like the I kill you off.
playable.
I think basically your goal in this game is to kill Moloch Karn, but depending on the list build, that doesn't win you the game.
Because Archidons can still
Yeah,
make your life
Archidon,
miserable.
everything that can get to Kreoss threatens Kreoss.
And that's what she does. Like, she just randomly goes, oh, game over.
To be fair, she does usually have to play pretty far up because of the leash trick, but
even if she fails her assassination run with one beast, you get that one beast, and her entire army's immune to knockdown for the next turn.
Yeah, you're immune to knockdown. That helps a lot.
And she's a 15-17.
Because of her feat and how she's going to be using it, I think I'm probably fine just leaving this at playable.
I wouldn't go anything worse than playable. I think she's completely playable in that matchup. It's Kreoss, for God's sakes. He's defense 14. Most of her beasts are going to be mat 7, so she could feat just to make it so you can't feat to buy her a turn.
Anything that gets on Kreoss kills him.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
Self-sacking Errants makes it hard for him to be able to sidestep through a screen, but it's not impossible. Do you have any way to get rid of like Gorman or anything in there?
Beasts that go a long ways.
Right, but I charge an Archidon at Gorman is basically the answer to
and
that.
And it sprints away, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Archidon goes in and sprints away. That would be that superior tech that Scorn players are always going on and on about.
Yeah. They're almost as good as Circle players. They're still learning, though. I'm going to leave that playable, I think.
They're still waiting for stones.
Yeah, still waiting for the stone trick. And TK. Moving on to Madrak 2. Mostly medium-based infantry swarm with damage buffs. I don't know if you can kill these guys fast enough. Madrak is really hard to kill.
Just be really, really, really careful of burrowers, and I think you're fine in this matchup.
I don't know if you have enough attacks. I would expect to see Fenblades plus Creel Warriors plus probably a Warder unit, maybe.
You just listed 20 things that die really easily.
To what?
Everything.
There's not the volume of attacks, though. Like, their command bubbles are so huge, they're just going to spread out everywhere. The Redeemers won't be able to do enough work, and the Fenblades come from a long way away. Not that they're going to do much
so
when
do
they get there.
Skyhammer rockets.
They do. But how many models do you hit with a 3-inch AoE when you're shooting at trolls? 2? Maybe?
It doesn't
2,
matter.
because they're on medium bases.
Yeah. That's the problem. Is like, blast damage is going to be at least armor 16 if they're under stone. They're always under stone when they spread out, but even say each Redeemer kills 6 guys, 12 models down, he still gets to you next turn. Like, I don't think you can kill enough guys to not let him get to you. I don't know if he wins by it.
There's other things that are slow. I mean, Errants kill them too.
Yeah. I had marked it as playable. I think it depends mostly on his build. If he plays the, just max dude spam. If he plays
Miserable Meat Mountain instead of I'm playing Fenblades, then it's terrible.
I think
if he plays Fenblades, he's giving you an opportunity.
Yeah. I think if it's the standard Madrak 2 that we used to see about a year ago, I think it's you eventually grind it out. It just takes a really long time.
Maybe. I think he outlasts you, but in doing so gives you an opening to get it done.
Also, if he has like 2 Fell Callers, that could be bad because he stands up all his dudes after your feet and still gets to be able to be work done. So I think it's still playable, though. Cool. Moving on to Grim 2.
Bad.
Really? I had playable good.
I had squiggly line. I don't see how it's bad. Tell me.
You have to be careful in case Kreoss gets hit by a double bomber.
That's pretty short range.
It is short range.
I just realized something, that the way that this is bad is if your opponent switches in Grim 1 instead of Grim 2, like when you're not looking, and that's why I said it was bad.
Oh, okay. I was like, it seemed pretty good to me, but I'm pretty respectful of ranged assassination sometimes, so.
My reading comprehension is what makes it bad.
Okay. Why do you think Grim? Because this is really meant to be either Grim, is why it's on the list, and I just selected Grim 2 because he was so popular at the time, and Grim 1 had been falling out of favor a little bit. Why does Grim 1 make it a bad matchup?
I would say the feat combined with... Oh, what's that one spell that lets him do all those funny things? The feat. We'll just stick with the feat.
Just the feat? You think that's enough?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's still...
You're making me think about these things, and...
I think it's on the good side of playable regardless how you cut it on Grim.
Probably, yeah.
Jarl might be the only one that's kind of maybe, because his feat can actually keep him safe for a long time. Because you only remove like 1 cloud a turn, right? So he can just hide behind his cloud bunker for like 3 turns. Save the feat for when you need it and just keep himself in the game.
He's not on the list.
He is not on the list.
Yeah.
I was just talking vaguely about Trollcasters. So I'm going to put good for both Grims.
Against the Grims in general, I think they just die.
I agree. They don't have any way to keep themselves alive other than Camp 6. And when the Camp 6 shit dies...
doesn't really work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Because then you're so low, I just keep shooting you. It's like just
Cool.
moves to hit. Eventually you'll land one.
To be fair, the player will probably trap her themselves.
Trap. That's true. You wait for Ryan to activate Muggs or whoever it is, drop the trap, and then advance their own bomber into said trap, roll an 11 on damage, and fall down.
It's brilliant.
It's unstoppable. I couldn't stop him from doing it. It was literally unstoppable.
We can't double knockdown and knockdown.
I was like, Ryan, what are you doing? He's like, what are you doing? I was like, he just walked in the trap. He's like, oh, whatever. Rolls 11. He's like, God damn it. Okay, Runes of War. Bad. That's what I put. I don't think you can kill Doomshaper, because alternatively in this list, he will almost always camp 5, and I don't think you can kill him with like 2 shots.
Yeah.
And there's
I think
zero way to kill Mulg.
There's zero way to kill Mulg in this list other than just black oil him for eternity, which doesn't work.
If we are talking about this and Triple M grouped together as like one archetype, I think it's better game against the Meat Mountain because of Ion and Holtbig in there now.
It is better, but this is specifically Runes of War because it is such a popular list.
Then bad.
They don't get hyper aggressive and
That's
unyielding on Gristle's feet turn
That's true.
when you feed them to be on the ground.
I think Gristle's playable solely because Gristle is on the table, and she has to be within like range of all of this stuff for the most part. She could just hang out in the deployment zone behind a building or something, but I don't think she could. And I think eventually
And she doesn't support her army.
Yeah, I think you eventually grind it down if she's doing that, because then you just kill the
They
Krillstone with Redeemers.
pretty much require to be given dash to make it
It's always
up
really
the board.
fun when you take away their feet completely.
My feet
It's always
literally
really
counters your feet, and I don't have to do mine first.
Yeah.
Because when you're like, oh man, if I just feet first, your feet does nothing. It's like, yeah, well, I just wait a turn. It's like, I feet, it does this. I feet, it removes your feet. And your feet has done nothing to this point.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty
seems
annoying.
fair.
All right, so...
That's what we define as game balance, right?
Yeah. So, moving on to Rask. I had playable because his feet is annoying and he is really hard to kill if you put enough bog trogs near him. But if you get good scatters with your Redeemers, you can kill a lot of bog trogs early on. So
They can make a lot of shamblers, which are also bog drugs.
I've seen the recursion of that list pretty much pushed to the max. It's kind of annoying. I think it's playable. I think you can definitely win that game. All you have to do is be careful of the Gators, which if you feed, they lose unyielding and they don't get their other stuff. So you can kill them, especially with like charging errants on your feed turn, but it's just if you can kill enough of them fast enough. When you think about Redeemers can kill Gators at a decent rate on the feed turn too, because, you know, just hitting them with dice off 2, I mean, there's decent chance you just 2-shot each of them.
I would really like to play this in a situation where the Rask player decides to keep himself safe with Call to Sacrifice by grouping a bunch of bog trogs within 5 inches of Rask.
And just seeing if you can kill enough of them.
Like how many die to the constant Redeemer bombardments.
That's what I was saying. You
I
need
think
to
it'd
use
be
the
really, really
Redeemers
funny.
early on to kill all of them. But the problem is if even like 2 of them are still alive, like that's 2 attacks that you just ignore on Rask. And that's after transfers.
You don't
Because his is the one that's specifically worded that once
if
he's
it
down to
kills
1
him.
health.
Yeah, it's only when it
Yeah.
kills him. Yeah, it's like
So,
the Menoth Exemplar solo
And then
guy.
he has problems next turn unless he's winning the game.
Right. Yeah, once she's at 1, he is out of the game. And then it can Gators kill your whole army.
I just think it's playable
No.
because that feat turn gives you the afforded time needed to get there.
So playable there. All right.
I would say on the good side.
Yeah, I agree. Gators are annoying. I don't think you assassinate Rask. I think you're forced to play for attrition unless
You
you
don't kill
get
gators that well without charging.
I think you attrition until you kill Rask.
just rain Redeemers in his general vicinity until it's time to kill him.
Yeah, like how the hell is he actually going to get to on the other side of your errands?
Gators
They're
with
not
rerolls
vulnerable.
kill stuff, yeah.
They need 8s.
But they get rerolls that's like 50-50 at best. They got 2
True.
attacks each, so let's say each guy's killing 1 on average. 2 units of Gators get to you, that's 10 tough checks, like
Yeah,
you're going
they-
to lose like 6 or 7 dudes.
They out-threat you.
When he gets buried on you, stuff starts going bad. If you get the initiation, you take out a whole unit of Gators and maybe feet to make the other ones not get to you that turn. So then they come up and engage you, and then you try and kill them, and then shoot the shit out of the other unit, thin them out. You can probably survive the game, is what I think. I think you eventually attrition it out.
Anything that you have to rely on attritioning it out like that is really not going to be called a good. It's going to have to be on the good side of playable.
I think it's playable. I
Because
don't think
there
it's
are a lot
good.
of room. Along the way, there's a lot of room for you to trip in for them to kick you in the teeth.
So looking at the matchups as a whole, bads. We have LeConte.
You.
Yeah, bad. That was actually, I think, was it the only? It wasn't the only bad. No, we had Bart.
Right next to Father.
I skipped him for some reason. Doomshaper, Runes of War. Okay.
What did we decide on for Denny 1? We said on the bad side of playable.
Yeah, unfavorably playable, but it's a game. I think it really just depends on how your early scatters go. If you have like boss scatter rolls and you're just taking off guys left and right, I think it goes good for you. That's my opinion. This is all theory, so could be totally wrong on that.
True.
So the three bad ones really were the LeConte, Runes of War, and Bart with a galleon. Do you remember any other specific ones that you thought were, like, I guess we could do bad playables? Fiora 2 was on the bad side of playable. Denny was on the bad side of playable. I'm going to make notes on those two. Denny, Fiora 2.
If Fiora 2 is going to be the pairing, then you're going to have to take Kreoss1 being on the bad side of playable against Denny 1 and Fiora 2 because you can't play Fiora 2 in those.
The idea behind that list is Denny Gunline. Shouldn't necessarily deal with heavies.
Yeah, because especially like Adjudicator sitting in the back just dropping 4 auto fire AoEs on her army every turn.
I don't like the 5 armor swing with those guns, personally.
Yeah, but you have Choir. No spells, yo.
Stop using logic here, Max. Stop it. All right, fair enough.
Typically, we need to counter large models with high armor. That's obviously Runes, Bart, and LeConte, Fiora 2, and then Denny is just a whole different monster because it's Denny.
Fiora 2 does all that. Boom! Podcast.
I think that's a wrap, pretty much. Do you have any closing points, Jake?
Don't do drugs. They're really bad. And
stay in school.
I'm gonna go do drugs!
Don't forget to activate the choir before your jacks.
Yeah. That actually happened yesterday.
Happens a lot.
That's
it actually does happen a lot.
And then, here we go. Play better.
Okay. Thanks, Jake. Max, got anything?
I'm trying to think of any
words of wisdom.
deep tips that I can give you, but that's all I got.
Do drugs.
Well, thank you for listening to Learn to Wargame. This has been Brandon.
Me.
That was Max. Jeremy.
And your special, super awesome Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Bye.
Bye. You gotta leave in the buys. Those were legit. Thank you for listening to Learn to Wargame. You can find us online at l2wg.com, Facebook, twitch.tv, YouTube, or Google+, and most importantly, l2wg.com for all of our content. Thank you. Do you know Jason Tate?
Yeah.
So he was on our cast not long ago. I told him when he first visited, because originally he was a 31st Century regular back in the day. They moved to Kentucky. And he came back to visit Joe and all the guys, and I told him I was going to primal the Mountain King to make it good. He's like, you will not primal a 20-point model with an 11-point model. I was like, I will do it just to spite you. And he was like, God damn it.
And did you do it?
I haven't bought Rock yet. I own the Mountain King. I refuse to buy bad models like Rock.
Rock
is reach short of being good. He is exactly reach short of being good.
If he had reach, I would pay 1 point less for him.
You think he's worth 10 with reach?
Yeah, which is why 11 without reach is such a slap in the face.
It is. It's just like, you've got a good character beast so far. Why you need 2, guy? Like,
yeah.
You son of... Isn't Mulg their only other character?
Yeah.
And now there's Dozer. For the longest time, it was Mulg, and like the other guys are like, I have Tiberian and Mullet Karn. And I'm like, fuck you. You get Tiberian, and I get Rock.
Yeah.
Let's see how many lists Rock makes.
Legion's crying because they only have
Typhon and Proteus.
Or whatever, Typhon, not Typhus. Oh yeah, Proteus. So
He's
easy
bad,
to forget
though.
about.
Yeah.
So easy to forget about. Even JVM won't play him.
I'm pretty sure the Ravagor's a character, they just misprinted it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I mean, think about it. I mean, it should be
it's just like an FAU character.
Yeah, pretty much. And that and an Angel. Angels are also characters. Scythians are like FA1s that are really FAU.
And then Carnivians are just as good as everybody else's generic tanky piece.
Yeah.
But with assault and a spray 10.
Carnivian's so bad. Like, can I show you a winter troll? Just like,
yeah.
Why are you complaining?
I have to pay all these points to get assault on a spray 10 with speed 6 and natural pathfinder.
Yeah. You know what might actually fix the Mountain King?
Nat 6?
No. Obviously, that's too strong, or else they would have given it to him. I was thinking, like, basically hyper regen or excessive healing off of Typhon on the Mountain King. So every time you hit him, he spawns Whelp and heals D3.
Having both of those would make him...
And then you spawn an extra Whelp because you bought Whelps. So you're spawning, you're healing 3D3 every time you take a hit.
The only thing that would do is it would actually let you use the Whelp.
Which means it would be literally twice as good as he currently is.
It would basically mean that if you don't have an out for healing, then you just can't kill the Mountain King in one go. Or if you do kill the Mountain King, you have to invest at least 20 points into it.
Which is,
you can't just...
I don't know, I'm trying to think of a word for that. I think it's fair. I think that's the word I was looking for.
The thought of having to invest 20 points to kill a 20-point model does seem a little out there, I will admit.
I mean, it's not like killing the Stormwall takes 19 points of effort, right?
No. I've seen an Arcane Shield that the Stormwall killed with only 30 points, actually. That was pretty impressive. It only took 30 points for Parker to kill an Arcane Shield with Stormwall once.
I don't know how many points are 2 Great Bears worth? Because that's what it took me one time, and Andrew lost his shit. He was so mad.
There must have been other things involved. Did you
It was Butcher 1 and his God Dice. Okay. Yeah, it was Butcher 1 plus God Dice.
Okay. No, that makes sense now.
It was like POW 15 double weapon masters charging through covering fires, not dying, and then killing you. I was
should have led with that one.
Yeah. The third guy forfeited his action because he didn't want to risk not swinging. He's literally like, I either attack my own guys or I do nothing, so I'm going to do nothing.
That's great. Are we going to get a little pre-ramble going that we're going to record once Max gets in here and stops crying?
Are we recording now, Jeremy?
Yes, we are.
Oh, hey, Jeremy's on?
Yeah, Greg. Not Constance, Greg.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. You know Jeremy Greg?
Yeah, I think I met him once at something.
Sounds about right.
Maybe it was Recruits? I don't remember. It was something.
He was being creepy at Recruits. He likes to troll high schools.
Okay, like for all the girls, those hot high school girls.
I think it's just to get their scrap that they throw out or something. I don't know.
No, that makes sense. Like their used gum that they throw away in wrappers and stuff.
Something like that.
Hey, that sells in Japan.
I think
there are a lot of things that sell in Japan.
He probably just goes to Walmart, buys girls' underwear, washes them once, and ships them to Japan. Like, used. I gotta get that shit somewhere. I would just love to find out that, that's really all that's been happening with the used underwear. Is some retards buy it.
There's a Japanese sword take 2 hands joke to me somewhere in there. I don't know where it is, though.
Oh, goodness. I'm gonna go get Max, because I don't think he realizes we're ready. I told him 7, and apparently my laptop says it's 4:50, so I don't think he's ready yet.
How's the weather in beautiful Kansas these days?
Hot and dry.
Oh, it's friggin' hot and friggin' humid here in Biloxi. I hate it. I want to get back to Kansas. I have another 6 months here.
Ugh.
Yeah. I haven't even gotten any games in yet since I've been here, which sucks.
Did we lose him?
Why do you try and scare me like that? He said we lost Jake.
No.
We lost me?
Max.
Oh, that one. Hero praise.
Oh, hero praise.
I'm back. Oh, damn it. I forgot to do what I was going to do when I went downstairs.
This list is boring.
Welcome to Mina.
Mina's not boring. They're just predictable and play the same way every single time, no matter what caster they bring.
But that means I need to find something different. But when I do that, it'll be bad.
I literally have made lists before for Peace Zevi and for Harbinger that were the exact same list, just with caster swapped.
That's not possible.
1 point different, like dropping a vassal mechanic.
That's crazy
and it legitimately worked.
Well, yeah, they're both crazy synergy casters.
It's like, well, zippity-doo, I've got the Avatar, some Errants, some Zealots, some Bastions. Oh, wow. This is a list for any caster in Minnow.
Pretty much.
This list needs more Rutger Shaw.
Oh, do you have Terran also? Because I have Terran.
I want to put her in there.
I was so tempted.
But at the same time, since he knocks everything down, he doesn't really need it. I guess Colossals is the one thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't knock down Colossals, Angels, and things that are immune to knockdown.
Fuck Angels.
Which is a very, very broad
Here's what you
cap.
do with Angels. You aim with your Reckoner and
you
shoot.
Yeah, you shoot it in the face. You're like, has your big, dumb, ugly face like Reckoner shots.
I was actually thinking of the bad matchups for my list, and I was all like, ooh, Saren, that might be tough. Wait a second. I'll just have the
I'll just
Reckoner
purify
shoot it
respawn and then shoot them off the board.
Reckoner shoot it, and then the Redeemer aim and put POW 14s and descent until she's dead.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, I'm going to charge feet and kill you. Good luck.
Yeah.
I hope defense 9 immune to blast saves you.
And then I thought about, like, and I was like,
What if she
about, like,
safeguards
Veil?
herself? Then I'll have to cast Purification.
Why don't they have access to Nis Hunters? Jesus. I thought
If
everybody
only there
did.
was like a journeyman warcaster that I could put a redeemer on.
I know.
Gaston.
Gaston with a galleon was actually an idea that crossed my mind.
I thought about it too. I just couldn't justify it. It's
Why
like,
not?
There's a
Why
list
not
that can be
justify?
done.
I don't know. I don't
And
know.
then you put the Judicator on Tristan.
Right. Well, obviously.
I was thinking a Templar on Tristan, a galleon on Gaston, and an Avatar also in the list. So you have a Defender's Warded Avatar, a Fortified Templar, and a galleon.
No,
Crows.
yeah, fire grouped galleon.
Crows.
Oh,
Where your crows at?
So we've been putting crows into all kinds of lists lately.
Have you played a Scabrous Telekinesis Crows list yet?
No,
No,
want,
that's too good.
Why I have
Yeah.
them.
The
but,
ultimate in Rubik's cubes.
We're not doing the obvious ones.
Oh, okay.
I was going
Which
to
means
try.
you're not doing the good ones. Well, wait, never mind.
We
I
went.
take that back.
Yeah, we went to Des Moines for the Invitational, and Max was using the Nis Hunters that we have. So I was like, "Oh, Richard, can we borrow your Nis Hunters? Because we need 2 units of Nis Hunters, which normally we don't play them at the same time." He was like, "Sure, I'll do that," and then he didn't come. And then it was like on the way up, we're like, "We only have 1 unit of Nis Hunters." So it's like, what's 10 points
Crows
and
it
fits
is.
into Nis Hunter slots? Like, crows.
Long gunners.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Oh man, if Kador had long guns.
Going back to Double Reckoner. I like
I
Reckoners
want-
too much.
I want Winter Guard long gunners.
You mean Rifle Corps?
No, I mean Winter Guard long gunners with dual shot.
I think if they could trade cover fire for CRA, they would be one
As
of
long
the
as they
best
don't get
units.
purification and I can keep occultating my way to killing them all, I'm good with that.
Speaking of occultation, purify it.
Yeah.
That's why I just play Pete and Aggro with straight up stealth.
That's what Rovin and Company are for. Although they didn't end up in my final list. They should have, but they didn't.
You can just dodge that shit. Drop Harbinger against Crooks.
Did you make a list, Jeremy?
For what? I haven't been told yet what
I
today's
know.
topic is.
It's Kreoss1.
High Exemplar
I
Dumbass.
might have 1 or 2 of those.
No, you don't. Does it involve...
Knocking shit down and then beating it up? Yes.
Well then, well done.
You're doing it right. Win
You're
more.
not supposed to build your army for the feat. Jeez.
Why are you not supposed to build your army for one of the best feats? I thought you were only allowed to build your army if it was one of the best feats.
Hey, some people are immune to this feat. That makes it one of the worst feats.
That's true. Having like 4 warcasters in the entire game that are immune to it, man, it kills it, let me tell you.
What about no
Makes it so
sleeping
bad.
on the job?
All those, both the scars, and that's it that can benefit from no sleeping on the job. Just so ubiquitous.
That's a lot.
You can also kill the Raider Captain. It's hard.
If you don't want her to be killed, then they can't kill the Raider Captain.
It forces
No,
Scar to play
it's-
farther back.
It's really easy to kill the Raider Captain. All you have to do is get Tristan to immolation it with his true sight.
Raider Captain's not stealth.
She's just really
Yeah,
far
but-
away.
when she's like behind. Wait, no, it doesn't allow him to ignore line of sight. It's only just concealment, camouflage, and stealth.
Yeah, it's true sight. Like
Well-
mages.
If she's in a forest,
She won't
won't
be
help
defense
her.
16.
yeah, he only needs a
And
10
he'll only
to
need
hit
a
her.
10.
Oh, I love Wargame. That's right. You update, you lose all your lists.
I don't lose all my
I lose
lists.
my list because I uninstall because it stops working. But it's like a cleansing effect because I have like 300 lists.
Yeah.
And then now I have 8. But I don't know if there's any gold in there because I didn't name any of it. So, shit happens. I could probably sync and get a whole bunch of really old lists. No thanks.
I wish the sync mechanic actually worked. That's really like the one last thing I really want War Room to fix.
It
After
does
that,
every so often. And every so often it just blinks everything.
I've never had it blank everything.
What about a vessel of judgment?
I always have it just sit there and pinwheel forever. That's all I ever get.
Wait, what?
But when I
take a
sync
vessel?
on my tablet, it will sync. It will say it synced, but won't do anything. So all I can imagine is it's saving everything, and then when I go to my other device and try and do it, it just never does it. I don't know if it's because I'm trying to do it between 2 different, operating systems.
What about...
I don't think that's the problem, because even when I had an Android phone, I couldn't get it to sync between my Android tablet and Android phone.
So what
Yeah,
factions have you not played, Jake?
And that's it.
What? Did you say anything?
I said I have never owned Legion, and I've never owned Scorn.
Okay.
That actually didn't come through.
Outside of,
Yeah, we didn't hear that at all.
okay.
It was just a bunch
Outside
of
those two
silence. I was
factions.
like, we just said that's it. I was like, so everything?
Because I said all of them.
Yeah, outside of those two factions, I either have owned or currently do own every faction. Actually, I take that back. Convergence I've never owned, but I've proxied the hell out of.
Oh, really?
I proxied, when the Convergence spoilers first dropped, I proxied a shit ton of Aurora theme force.
Nice. So you
And I
played
got
the
bored with it
worst
after, like-
possible thing ever.
It was just so much fun to play, because you just angle for assassination every single turn all the time. And I played about 7 games with it before I got bored. And I realized that there are like 4 better assassins within factions that I already had owned. So I was all like, I could keep on playing Aurora, or I could go back to Kane 2.
Quiet on the set!
I don't know what's happening.
One of our roommates came down. He's trying to be really quiet.
Somebody's going to lose a kneecap.
Yeah, I'm going to beat the shit out of that fucker when he goes to sleep.
Why wait?
Bad.
I need this element of
actually-
surprise. Hello, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Learn to Wargame audio podcast. My name is Brandon, or PG Mutilus on the forums, and I'm still trying to play Khador badly.
I'm Max. I lurk on the forums, and I play Krix and sometimes other things, but not very much recently.
Nice. Jake, are you still there? Didn't think so. We lost Jake, so we're going to have to...
We're gonna have to start this one over. Fire up! Mm-hmm. Doop, 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 doop. What? We're gonna fire this out in about 24 minutes or so I can go pick up my food? I'm just kidding.
I'm pretty sure it's his internet because
Because he's not coming back.
Well, that and I can call other people just fine. Hello, Praise.
Oh, hello, Fresh.
Why'd you hang up on me, you sumbitch?
Skype decided to fail at the absolute perfect time.
It was great because
It was good timing.
I saw it fail, and then I was like, well, maybe by the time we're done introducing each other, then Jake will be back. And I was like, nope.
You should have introduced yourself. We'd have had more time, and it wouldn't have been enough still.
It still would not have been enough.
All right,
right.
can we take it from the top, maybe? So
Yeah,
I can, like,
so-
From the top to the
No,
We're
bottom.
gonna
bottom to the
we're gonna have
top,
to redo our pre-ramble because we deleted what we had recorded so far. So do you have like another 45 minutes?
something
No.
selling underwear in Japan.
Okay. That pretty much recaps our entire pre-ramble.
Delivery.
Yes.
All right. Once more, this time with feeling. Hello and welcome to the Learn to Wargame audio podcast. I am Brandon. Starting
Episode
over.
9.
Starting over. Erase all of this.
What?
Not really. Don't erase this.
Oh.
Shit.
Crap.
This sounds like the beginning of an episode of Miami.
Yeah. Thanks. Now we've been insulted. We've been insulted on our own goddamn show.
That's a compliment, damn it.
Maybe.
They do have more listeners.
They do have more listeners than us. But they're hurtful and their words
right.
mean things.
Anyway,
more time.
Serious face.
Do you know what to do with your hands?
I do.
Okay.
Hello and welcome.
Knobs to fiddle with. So.
That was awesome.
Ready,
All
Brandon?
right, ready?
I am ready. Are
Ready?
you guys
Ready?
done talking?
Ready?
Oh.
Start at any time.
Waiting on Jeremy. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Learn to Wargame audio podcast. This is episode 9. I am Brandon with the Learn to Wargame audio podcast. My forum name is PG Mutilus on the forums.
Start over.
Why? That was perfect.
Nope. You
That
don't
was
need
really
to
good.
say our podcast name twice.
It's all about advertising. You got to plug it as many
Right.
times as you can.